All right. Welcome to Mashed In. I'm your host, Sean Ryan. We've got co-host, Matty Lick.
G'day.
And in the studio today, our guests are Brendan Gould from Public Brewery in Croydon and Trav Nash from the Mine Boat.
Hello.
How you going, boys?
Very good, thanks.
Pretty good, man.
Excellent, excellent. Once again, we're live on Facebook, so if you want to say hello or send us a message or argue with Marcus, please jump on and leave us some comments and stuff. We'll be able to answer questions as they're coming through. Obviously, if you want to ask Trav or Brendan questions, you can as well. We're going to talk a little bit about more beer now that we've got another brewer in the studio, so that'll be good. And we'll get Trav to talk about some more wild pirate times in Adelaide. We can talk about pirate life, beers.
I'm all about it.
Awesome. Also, if you guys have not followed us on YouTube, please do a search for us on YouTube. Just type in Mashed In. I think we're slowly climbing up the search ranks in there. The more subscribers we get, the more close we're going to be able to get to having that vanity address.
Yeah,
we can actually have Mashed In rather than
a whole bunch of series of numbers and letters and whatnot.
Yeah, not awesome. And also, if you're listening to this on the podcast, we're on iTunes now, so you might see us on iTunes.
Yeah.
Subscribe on iTunes, leave some comments. It would be a massive, massive help to get other people to find our podcast. You can also go to facebook.com/mashedin, MASHEDIN. Every Saturday, we're live streaming from 2 o'clock, so you can tune in. You can also go to mashedin.fireside.fm, which is our website, or Instagram at mashedinlive, Twitter Mashedinlive, and Twitch is just Mashedin. So that's all the links.
Everywhere.
We're everywhere. I know, it's
omnipresent. Yeah.
So I think if you go to if you go to the Facebook or the Fireside website, it has the links to everything, so you can just do that, which should be awesome. Today we're going to talk about beer, local news, a little bit of music, a little bit of Star Trek as well, buying beer news, things like that. So. Well, actually, we usually Star Trek's like the last segment, so it's always one that gets cut. Last week
gets bumped, yeah.
Yeah, last week we were getting ready to do it, and then Tegan had to pull her
that's
her
right.
fiance out to go somewhere else on their media trail.
It's kind of like Star Trek when it started, though. Like, no one really took much attention, and then it got syndicated. And that's when it took off. So it's kind of appropriate, really, full circle. Yeah,
exactly. So I'll kick off with local news. So. Local to me, I didn't actually do very much. I've been watching.
You pulled a Matty.
I pulled a Matty. I've been watching. I know you're gonna have to steer this ship. I'm hoping you've actually done something.
Yeah.
I've just been watching Netflix and stuff like that. I've been watching Inner Space. I think it's Inner Space.
That old movie?
No, not Inner Space. What's the other one?
Where he gets injected into the body of that.
There's a space one. I don't know. I can't remember what it's called now. That and Disenchantment, the new Matt Groening show.
Oh, okay. I haven't checked that out.
Yeah, it's really, really good.
Yeah.
You like it?
Yeah. Do you?
It grew on me. I think it's it's like
Is it because Eric Andre is so this, and then in this he's so not
I think
that?
even Abby Jacobs, I think they're so pulled back. I think they should just let them
just run.
Riff. I think they feel a bit confined. But the last 4 episodes are really good. Like when that story comes together.
I've seen the first. I think I'm up to the first 4, so I haven't seen it all yet.
Spoiler alert.
It gets better.
So I've been watching that, and I've been rewatching Star Trek, obviously.
Which one?
Next Gen. So I've gone back to the start and going through it. Unfortunately, it's still in the Roddenberry era of when he was still controlling Star Trek. So it's kind of a little bit preachy and not awesome. It just gets so much better. So, I keep telling I'm getting my son into it. Like he's enjoying Star Trek. He's starting to learn all the characters and stuff.
Yeah, so. I just love TNG though. Like, I just love it. I love how it's not just a bunch of explosions and bangs, and it's not always action and action and action. Like
it's
you can
very
sit
rarely
there.
action.
Huh?
It's very rarely action.
Yeah, exactly. You can sit there, enjoy it, relax. I don't know. Maybe
it doesn't feel like someone's just shaking the set.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, what's been happening with you in local news, Matty?
Because I never have any news, and I never remember what happens to me during the week. I wrote down a list of things that happened to me during the week, and then I forgot to bring the list. But most importantly, I caught a wave that was the best wave I've ever had in my life. It has to be said, it was amazing. Like it's one of those waves that when you're starting out as a surfer, because I'm really not that good, you get it, and then you actually feel like you're a surfer now. It was like 6 foot. It broke nicely from the left to right. Just rode it. It's just one of those things where you just get off it and you just have this massive grin on your face. It's like right place, right time. It was just amazing.
Did you go back out, or did you just go, that's it, I'm
that's
done?
it, yeah, that's it. I rode it.
Snapped your surfboard.
Jumped rode it, jumped off, and went, nah, that's not going to happen today again. I'm just going to leave. I'm going to be happy. That's exactly what happened. Yeah, 100%. It's
always good to go out on top.
Yeah. I finally got around to finishing Fallout 3, started Fallout New Vegas, which is really good too. I liked Fallout 3 so much. And New Vegas is pretty awesome as well.
Oh my god, it's the best.
Yeah.
I was like really against it when because I came to it really late.
Yeah, well, I'm coming to it extremely late.
Yeah. Wow, it's so good.
Yeah. I really liked Fallout 3, and I was the same with you. I've been delaying it but you just get into it. It's awesome.
Are you keen for the online?
I don't know.
I just absolutely get pwned by like 10-year-olds.
Well, the way apparently the way
am I using that right? Pwned.
Yeah. Well, apparently the way that they're doing it is that it's not necessarily a fighting game. You can try to engage with somebody, and by engaging with somebody, you just basically take a pot shot at them. And if they don't engage, they die. But you become a wanted murderer, and then other people can hunt you down.
Yeah, but GTA does the same thing, and like people cheat, like chasing you down with like F fighters, and I was like, this is what Grand Theft Auto is. It's
this doesn't seem realistic at all.
That escalated quickly.
Yeah. What was I going to say? Yeah, Fallout New Vegas is I don't find it as addictive though. I don't know why. Fallout 3.
I think again it took me a while to get into it, but then I guess I get very obsessive with games.
Yeah.
And I got nothing else to do with my time, so
I'm just trying to get through them so that I can get onto 4, and then I'm ready for
4 yet?
No.
I really liked it. A lot of people went down, but it's cool.
Yeah.
It's much more colourful than the other ones.
Okay.
Is this on PC you're talking about?
No, this is well, I haven't got an Xbox One yet. Again, I'm quite late to the game.
So what are you playing it on?
360.
Oh.
Yeah. But 4 is on Xbox
really
One.
Fixes a lot of stuff, like the modding community.
Oh, okay.
And recently there's a mod for someone's made a whole for Fallout 4. They made it called Fallout California, and they've replicated California with like voice actors. They've made quests. And the trailer looks better than the official Fallout game. Like it's got 6 times more likes on YouTube, and it looks like a professional game. And it was like just a team of kids. It's like we're Fallout's in Miami. So if you haven't seen it, it's amazing. It's got like zombies with like I don't know, what are those pool toys around them, and
fuck, I'll check it out. Yeah.
Awesome.
So that's the highlights of my week, I suppose. Yeah.
But you, Trav, what did you get up to this week? Anything exciting?
Just playing video game. I'm playing No Man's Sky.
I want to get that too. Yeah.
So yeah, they sort of said that they were going to be like, back in the day when they promised all this crap, and you just play it, and it was just cruising around looking at flora and fauna.
Yeah.
And now it's like so much more stuff. Now it's like online, and so I was on a planet, and then it said like murderous killer is in my galaxy, and I went, oh no. And then this ship coming towards me, and I was like, I'm only in there for 6 hours, and I was building a base, and I was like, I hope this guy's cool. And then he got out of his ship, we both looked at each other, and then we sat down. And then he got back in his ship, and he flew off and left my galaxy, and I was like,
without murdering you.
I've never
Clearly
been more
weren't worth killing.
Yeah. I've never been more scared of. Like, I've had knives. Like, someone tried to rob me once.
Like in real life.
And that I had a huge anxiety attack. I was like, oh my god.
Over a video game.
Yeah, it's pretty creepy.
Oh my god, this guy's landing.
Especially a guy called Murderous Killer, or what his name was. Like,
do you think that's just what he does? He has like a badass name, and he just sits down and just like looks at people and just like
Just
Freaks
wants
him
to
out
stare
for a
him
while.
down.
Mate gave it to him as a joke. He's this real peaceful Gundy guy. And they're
Doesn't
like,
know how to play
murderous
the
killer
game.
man.
Doesn't even know how to play the game.
Yeah.
He's like, he's trying his best. All he knows how to do is go turn up and sit down.
Could just be that's his one gaming name across
Yeah.
everything, regardless of genre, and that's just how
he got that
rolls.
name, and that was never going to give it up.
And he was like a real badass in his youth, and now he's like got kids, and like way chill now. Like,
He can't do that because the kids are sitting next to him while he's playing, so he can't just go killing people.
Yeah.
Does he like spell murderous killer with like an A at the end?
Yeah,
Killer.
So all the vowels are missing. You know?
Oh, okay, yeah.
You don't know. You have to have a tape course to read what the half of people are saying. Like, what? That's not a word. You spell worse than I do.
Yeah.
Bad speller with an A.
That'd be sick. That'd be a sick name.
What if I should get that name? That'd be
Bad
awesome.
speller.
Bad speller. What about you, Brendo? What have you been up to this week?
It's pretty chilled. It was doing what brewers do. We brewed a bit of beer this week. It's
Cleaning,
nice.
mainly cleaning.
Yeah, a
That's
lot of
what brewers
cleaning.
do.
Yeah,
Like
that's
80%
it.
cleaning.
That's what happens around the mess you make when
But you
brew.
got assistant brewers though.
Yeah, I do.
So you don't have to
which
clean
is
as much.
really
You get to watch
nice.
cleaning.
Exactly. They're really useful for the heavy stuff and the really dirty, hot, messy stuff, and that just direct and away you go. Yeah. So a bit of brewing. And my son had his athletics day. He's in prep this year, so it's fun watching all these little preppies run around an athletics track and not really know what they're supposed to be doing.
And that one kid that just runs in
there's
circles.
just one that and then there's always one that just dominates. They
Oh,
must
yeah.
be doing
Born
like little
athlete.
laughs or something like that, or just an ultra competitive parent that's just coaching the hell
He's
out
actually
of
an
it.
Most likely
18-year-old.
Just super drilled.
Yeah. Some kids like here's your moment of glory.
Exactly.
I've seen every other kid. You've got no competition. But Mum, I want to go play video games. No, you're running around the yard again. Do 5 laps.
And smile.
Your kid is exactly 1 year older than my kid.
That's it,
isn't
yeah.
he? Same.
Yeah,
They share a
same-
birthday.
That's it. Yeah.
So my son's getting ready. He actually had his orientation day this week at primary school, which is good because he's been in daycare. He was kind of ahead of the curve, which was great because it was just like go in there and see you later sort of thing. Whereas a lot of the other kids were just like, how am I? What do you mean you're going to leave me and I've got to go by myself down the hall? That
it's a big
doesn't
thing.
sound like a thing.
Yeah.
Hang on a minute, you're going to be where?
What did I do wrong?
Yeah,
Don't you love
exactly.
me anymore?
Exactly. But no, he's really excited to.
Yeah, school's amazing for him.
Yeah.
Man. They just grow so quick, and they suddenly know everything, and have to tell
Start
you about
talking
everything
back
they know. Oh, but it's just like they're little sponges, and they just take in everything, and they just want to share this world of knowledge that's been revealed to them.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome. So I'm very much looking forward to it, and also looking forward to not having to pay daycare fees anymore,
Yeah,
which is a
school's
big
good.
thing. Like looking at school fees, I'm like, why did my parents complain about school fees?
Start him at 1.
Yeah, exactly. I wish. I'm like, he's pretty clever. Maybe he could go now. He's almost 5. He's pretty big. He's pretty tall for a kid. Like
He'll
he could
pass.
He'll be all right. Like he tells people he's
Sneak him
8
in.
anyway, so he doesn't know what age he is.
Why don't you sneak him in under like a coat and just drop him in a class? Like they won't know. There's so many kids in the school now. Like
They got no idea.
They're
Yeah.
overworked. What's more? It's like,
it's like you're here now.
You get to go to school.
You don't have to do homework because no one's.
Now you're from Adelaide. I was actually born in Adelaide. I was there for the
not my
first 5
fault.
years. I know
It's one of my
you
parents.
escaped.
I feel like there's an accusation against me. Like,
No.
You look Adelaide-ish.
You look Adelaide-ish.
you've got that look.
Yeah.
But you're
You look shifty.
the thing that I found interesting is that for years I've been watching you doing stand up. We used to do stand up together quite a while ago, and
Back in the day.
yeah, we both ran comedy rooms that we kind of didn't really want to be running.
Back in the silent era when before the talkies came along and
And ruined everything. Back in between flapper dances, we ran comedy nights.
Yeah.
But you always used to compare Adelaide to pirates.
Pretty
That's
much.
where the pirates live. And then a brewery comes out of there called Pirate Life. Was that
really?
I thought you just kind of made up the pirate thing. Is that a known thing of Adelaide? Is like pirates or?
I think I
Was
was
it just
talking. There's a
random?
place called Port Adelaide that's like, it's just pretty piratey. It's just, I don't know. I think it's probably all more upmarket now. Like, because I went to like Footscray recently, and I lived there when I first came here, and that's all like pretty upmarket, much more than I remember. But Port Adelaide was like just real scummy bogan town, and like
So you mean like
decrepit pubs, and like
Okay.
people were just having like, you just walk down there during the day and people like punching on. And it's like a bus system. You just join the punch ons and you go to where you gotta go. Everyone's just fighting.
It's a punch on tour.
Like, see a Jack, a mate of mine.
Now punching number 76.
Just these fights. Just these mobs of just like real beefy men. I remember like just walking down and like there was like tourists around, and I think this guy got a bit racist, bit Charles Dickens racisty. And he's like yelled out, he's like, "Where are the bloody Australians? They're all gone." And then he saw me and was like, "Bloody Aussie, mate. Thank God you're here." And I'm like, don't pull me into your racist tirade. All these like other people are like looking at me and like, I don't want to be associated with you. Like, you've got a pirate patch and like
A pirate?
you got a racist parrot. Like, I don't know what's going on.
Just punching people as he's walking.
Yeah. And then he's like, gotta go. And then he just started getting roundhoused all the.
Oh god.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, I got in trouble once. I went back to Adelaide to do some shows, and I got to do like a university interview, like after I did all my shows. So it was like great promotion. They were like, when were the shows? I was like, well, Fringe is over, and I go back tomorrow. And so I don't know. It was awkward to start
So
with.
you all missed it.
But then they were like, oh, we did some research about your comedy, and then they like played a clip on YouTube, and it was like a 10-minute how much I don't like Adelaide. And compared it to Mad Max, and like, just there's a Thunderdome. And then they stopped it, and they were like, because they don't, Adelaide people don't like you. It's like the Smurf Village, like you don't bag it out while you're in there. Like, but when you're out, when you're out on your own, you're like, I'm living mushrooms, man. Like, what the hell? Like, there's some guy called Hefty, there's Joker. Like, what? They don't like it, so. They grilled me over my material. They're like, why did you come back if you don't know like Adelaide so much? And I'm like, well, because they're paying me to stand and talk. I'm like, it's not by choice. I'm not here for a visit. Like, I don't, just don't drink the water for 3 days and you're fine. Like,
Go home really dehydrated.
but I think I converted them. I was just like, are you serious? Like, I've never been more threatened here. There's lunatics on the street. Like, it's pretty crazy town. Like,
And racist parrots and
racist
stuff.
people, the public transport system's like a fight club, like, it's,
I thought,
I think I convinced them afterwards.
I thought Adelaide's supposed to be a lot better now, though. Like, seems like it seems like a lot of people are loving it.
Probably because I left, and then it just
It was you all
just
along.
celebration.
See ya.
No bad vibes, like. Yeah, probably. I don't know. It's really weird. It's like, they had like a tram system that went from like the city to the beach, and then they were like, oh, we should extend it. So they went to like the casino because like people need a direct line.
Direct line from the beach to the casino, then back.
And then they wanted to extend it to like the only like, like their venue, the set, I don't know, entertainment center. Like they're pretty. It's entertainment there. It's the center, so they just went out of control naming it. But I think they ran out of money, so like the tram just stops apparently. You just have to join a herd and punch on like to get to go see Blink-182's reunion tour or whatever the hell. Like. So I don't know. It's a weird town. There's so many weird people. Like,
When was the last time you went there?
I haven't been back in probably 5 years. Or something.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, they don't want me back anymore.
They stopped you at the border.
Yeah. Instead of looking for fruit, they go, have you got a Trav Nash there? I'm in the boot, and they're like, Trav, back you go, buddy.
We've talked about this.
Yeah.
There's a bin on the side of the highway for Trav Nashes.
Yeah. Yeah, they hate. Yeah, they hate the fruit fruit fly there. Like it's pretty weird.
Is that something that is just some overrun?
Oh, they're just scared. It's like the boogeyman to them.
Scared of the fruit.
And then, you know how there's like when I was there, like, you know, the Victorians took the Grand Prix and like Adelaide just, you know, they got crippled from it. Like they were just moaning. Like I remember like someone came over to talk to my dad and they're like, bloody Victorian in front of my car today, should have kicked a Vic. And then I'm like, what are you on about, dude? And they're like, why are you so angry? He's like, why am I so angry? You stole the bloody Grand Prix. And I'm like, I lived in the city during like when they had like the I don't know it's not really Grand Prix. What's the other? The Clipsal.
Yeah.
And like we lived just like where the entrance was, and there's always like people just like pissing in my bush or like collapsed in front of my door. I'm like, that's my job. Like I was in my 20s. Like let me have this moment. Like I'm paying rent here at least.
This is where I collapse.
I don't know why people want that. Like it was pretty. You know, it wasn't good times.
Yeah.
The Grand Prix.
Yeah, I mean, what?
We got it, and we don't even know what to do with it. No one turns up to the Grand Prix, really. It's in a place that's hard to get to.
No one knows how much it costs to stage. You know,
no, I was going to... We went...
Last year or the year before?
That.
Yeah.
And it was like, it's just kind of weird. Like St Kilda's kind of this odd sort of area where it's
Albert Park.
You can see the city,
yes,
but people, it's across the Yarra River, so people don't walk across from the city to St Kilda. So you kind of go like the Grand Prix is held in a golf course.
Yeah.
It's
a weird thing.
No, it's in Albert Park, which is kind of the city.
It's off on the edge. Yeah, I mean, like I used to work around the corner from it for years.
Yeah.
It was a pain in the ass working because, you know, all the public transport would get messed up.
Yeah.
The noise, and you know, you just couldn't get around that area because all the bump in and bump out.
Yeah.
Like, they're building massive places to see it and everything like that. Just nightmare.
Isn't it better to watch on TV though? Because
much better.
Well, yeah, because you know when
You're
you're there,
on
you
a
can see
corner.
one corner. Yeah,
That's right.
if you're lucky, you might see a smash.
Well,
Yeah.
when it was
That's
really
why people are there.
yeah, when it was really loud, it was awesome to hear them go past. It was you know, the earth-shakingly loud cars, but now they just sound like motorbikes.
It sounds like
It's just,
Zoidberg
it doesn't
from
grab you.
Futurama.
Hey,
They're like, whoa, 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 whoa.
yeah, it sound like 4-cylinder motorbikes or something. It's,
the loudest thing is the jet that flies over
yeah.
those aircrafts and
Well,
stuff.
the
that
V8
fly over.
supercars are
Oh,
louder.
yeah, the
They
V8s
are
were
louder.
really loud.
I remember one of the first years I was back from Canada.
Yeah.
We were setting up for what's that beer festival nearby, like on the other side of.
I think that was the one at Ormond Hall, wasn't it? Wasn't that?
I think so. Yeah. And I remember hearing them go around, and I'm like, yeah, sick.
Yeah.
And then I realized that that's the V8 supercars, and then
Yeah.
when I heard the F1s go around, you can barely hear them.
Yeah, I know. And they're so fast as well. Like we were on a corner, and it would just be like, I think that was Daniel Ricciardo.
Yeah.
Like you're trying to get a glimpse of the color of a helmet, and you're like, yep, I think that was. Go Daniel. Yeah, but it's not much. You know, you don't really
Is
see
it just
that.
a place to drink like the cricket? Is that how people...
Yeah, but they don't even like the beer lines are very long.
Well, for me, I like it's the pinnacle of it should be the pinnacle of engineering, you know, and automobile threshold kind of thing. But they keep on backing it away. They keep on bringing these regulations. They're slowing them down. They're trying to keep, you know.
Everything.
I think, you know, and they're like, well, it's dangerous for the drivers. Yeah. It is dangerous for the drivers. That's why we go to see them. If it's not dangerous for the drivers,
It should
you
be
know,
like pod racing of like young Anakin. Put a kid in there.
yeah, have an age limit of 12.
Like, why is there a kid there? Like, he's pretty metachlorine counts pretty high. He's all right.
He's like sitting in the chair and he's like he's like bouncing around inside the cockpit.
He's like, I'm trying to win my mum's freedom. And then he just explodes. Oh no, Anakin's dead.
But to be fair, right, they did all this stuff, you know, making Grand Prix faster. Really, you know, one of the top Grand Prix races got taken out by skiing.
What?
Michael Schumacher
Like
was
stunt
being
skiing
played.
when they're all
No,
in
no,
the-
Oh, no,
just skiing down a hill.
Races.
That's
yeah,
what took him out.
sorry,
He
yeah.
flew around a track
Drivers.
for years and years and years. No, it's skiing, banned skiing.
300 kilometers an hour, hitting walls and stuff,
Yeah,
and then
he was fine.
he falls over skiing. That's
Yep.
about it. That's, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Oh,
It's like Keith Richards almost died with that coconut falling. on
That's
his head.
right, he did too.
I read
the
his book.
coconut nearly died.
Yeah.
Come in contact with
I
Keith
read
Richards.
his book, and he said that they rushed him to a doctor, and he went to New Zealand or something. And then the first thing he said to the doctor, he didn't ask the guy's credentials. He was like, "Do you like the Rolling Stones?" And the guy's like, "Yeah, man, I love Rolling Stones." He's like, "All right, then you'll probably help me survive." Imagine if he was like, "Nah, I like Corn." Like, Keith's like, "Oh man, I'm screwed."
how
Nick,
high
I
did
love
the coconut fall?
I don't know. He was like on an island. He was on this really remote island apparently, and
Yeah.
he's
Was he
pretty
climbing
lucky.
with Charlie Watt or something? Up a tree?
I think he's pretty like
He's pretty loose.
he can
Yeah.
remember like he knows every detail of like stuff that happened like 40 years
Yeah.
ago, some drug charge, but
That
like
book
something
is
like that happens.
Yeah, that book is amazing. The biography.
I don't know if it was in the book, but I heard this amazing story how he I think the Canadian Prime Minister
Yeah.
at the time's wife
Yes, it was in
was
the book,
this
yeah.
like whole party 70s swinger chick.
Yeah.
And she would always just leave him and just go out and hang out with like famous people like the Beatles and stuff. And she left with Jagger and Keith.
Yeah.
And there was like a whole lot of controversy.
Yeah.
So he was trying to get the Stones out. And then I think they raided them and found all these drugs. And Keith was apparently looking at like 20 years minimum.
Yeah.
But the only thing that saved him was like this blind girl fan who's like bedridden wrote a letter to Keith and said, "I'm a huge fan."
No, wrote to the judge.
Oh yeah, but I think he met her.
Oh,
first.
yeah.
So Keith took time out and was like, "What's going on, blind chick?" and then she could see again. Nah, I don't know. Anyway, she just thought it was the most amazing thing ever. Yeah, so she wrote to that judge and was like, "You can't put Keith Richards in jail because." You know, he's
He helped me see.
Yeah, he's just came out, and I can't. I mean, it probably wasn't even Keith. It was probably an impersonator. She wouldn't know. Keith's just like, "Hey, you sound like me." It's probably Johnny Depp just doing Jack Sparrow impersonation. You know.
All right, so our viewer wrote in and said Final Space. Yes, Final Space is
what
pretty
it was.
awesome. Yeah,
Final Space. That's
Yeah,
the one.
yeah.
Inner
Look-
Space was the
Inner Space.
old
It's-
movie. That's
Thanks,
on every
Marcus.
year.
Yeah, and he also said Adelaide is a great place to visit.
Yeah, but then he put a winky face, so that totally negates it.
That it's not such a great place.
And you know, the thing about visit is you also get to leave.
That's
Yeah.
true.
So,
That's true.
okay.
yeah.
All right.
Sometimes. You don't know. There's a lot of people that don't leave. You know?
Not by choice though.
It is supposed to be the murder capital, so
Yeah, that's
I don't know if it is
the
anymore.
serial killer capital, isn't it?
There's a lot of crazy stuff's going on. Yeah.
What isn't there like? How many serial killers does that make? Like 3, maybe?
Oh, there's more
Two?
than that. Some pretty crazy stuff's
Yeah?
happening.
Okay.
Yeah, there's like the Beaumont children. They went missing, or Beaumont, or whatever the hell.
Oh.
These kids
I don't
are-
think we just have very many serial killers in Australia.
But then one of our newsreaders, his son got abducted, and then they found his body, and then he found out by reading the news that day about his son.
What?
Oh,
Like,
wow.
the
What,
80
live on air?
Yeah, live on air. There's like footage, and he was like, "Okay."
As he's
Uh-huh.
reading it,
Yeah.
he's like, "This fits the exact description of my son."
Yeah.
And then
And then he found out it was, and then he's like,
What, no one thought
Okay.
to give him a heads up?
"Nah, it's just news back then. You know, it's got to go, man." It's like,
holy.
It's a news cycle.
yeah.
Sorry for bringing down the
Jeez.
conversation, by the way.
There you go.
Let's talk about more serial killers.
Push this button and this trap door goes.
Bye, Trav. Melbourne
No,
doesn't
that
like you
was
either.
me. I was the one that prompted that whole thing.
Off I go to another state.
How's Sydney working out for you, mate?
Haven't done a podcast on there yet. So.
You actually have got a podcast that do you want to plug your podcast, Trav Nash Mindboat?
Yeah, it's just, my life's pretty weird, so
You're either doing absolutely nothing, or you have got crazy wild adventures like a gummy bear that are beyond compare, and you just like some of the story. I can't even believe the stuff that has happened to you. If I didn't know you and have seen things happen to you like this, that I would not believe.
I'll tell you the weirdest thing was my health issues. Just they don't know. They think it's, some people think it's epilepsy. Some people think it's I'm sorry again to bring this down. Neurological, some sort of thing. I just sort of vague out. So if I just collapse, don't worry about it. It's just a fringe performance piece. So I had an epileptic test where they flash lights and they got like Clockwork Orange, brain things on, and then during that period, like all these neurologist guys are so scared. They're pretty Willy Wonka-ish. Like they're just like, what's going on with your brain? And they're always trying to make jokes and talking really fast, trying to confuse you. I'm like, dude, I'm here because I'm like my brain's not functioning. Like I don't need extra like crazy. So I collapsed and my heart stopped during this period. So good times. And then I had like all these. Luckily, it was in hospital, and then all these doctors are like, "Oh,
that's a good place to be if your heart's going to stop."
Yeah,
it's like how I almost got hit by an ambulance crossing the road near Flinders Street Station.
What?
Jesus.
Yeah. I had my headphones in. I didn't hear anything, and everybody in front of me as when you're crossing, there's all those people that's crossing, and then so everybody in front of me kind of hurried in front of me, and then I kind of was like, and I looked behind me, and everybody had backed away, and the ambulance just went straight past me. I was like, holy shit.
Whoa.
As I was kind of walking through, so anyway, yeah.
Oh, man.
Sorry.
I can't beat that story. What were you listening to?
It was probably back then in 2000, Power Man 5000 or something like that. Rob Zombie, I don't know. Anyway.
So 6 months. They put a pacemaker in as a failsafe.
Oh shit!
So the day before the pacemaker, I went into a consultation, and this guy was completely deadpan. And he wasn't even a doctor; he was just some nurse dude. And he just no personality. It was just like a blank face. And he was like, "Okay, so you'll go in tomorrow, and we'll open you up and chuck this device in." And I was like, "Oh, okay, so there's anesthetic," and he's like, "No."
We're doing it old school.
He's like, "You'll be awake because we got to know, it's working." And I'm like, "Oh, okay, cool." Oof. And then he opens a drawer, and in the drawer there's these two devices. One looked like a calculator with sparking wires coming off it, and it was like, what? And then the other one was it looked like a teardrop, and it was really sleek design. And he's like, oh, which one do you want?
He was like, that was like the Apple version of the...
Yeah. And I went, the small one. And then he went, just a little joke we do here. He was like, that one's from the 1950s. And then I went, I don't feel very good. And then I leaned forward and I was dead for 2 minutes. Right?
Whoa.
What do you mean? His joke went that badly that you actually
that's the
died.
Thing. When I was revived with the fibrillator things, all the doctors were standing over and the doctor goes, what happened? And he goes, I don't know. I was telling him,
mate, you're the doctor, you tell
joke. Me. And the guy's like, is that when you bring out the two pacemakers? And the guy's like, yeah. And he goes, did he laugh? He goes, no, he didn't laugh. He died.
How can you say that story is not better than my ambulance story? That's so much better.
No, it's stupid. It's so dumb. That was the killer joke. Comedians always
go.
Smashed it. It was a Holocaust. There were no survivors. It's always such aggressive terms when all you're doing is trying to make people laugh. It's always just just everyone's legless in there. Just cut, brutally murdered everyone. And then the next day, it happened again just before the surgery. Which, if you want to be bumped up on the public, the operation thing, just die and you'll be.
Don't go too far.
I'll keep that in mind.
Yeah.
So and then they the orderly, the guys that those volunteers that push you to the thing.
Yeah.
This guy was just hell cracking jokes as well. He was just he was doing a fringe show for my benefit. He's just like, oh jeez, back from the dead. You're like Michael Myers in the Halloween. You can't kill the guy. He's always back.
There's a drummer.
Yeah, and I'm just I'm really tired. And I'm going, I have to be awake during the surgery. And I'm just can you just chill it out, tone it down a bit? And he's like, tone it down? What is this, Spinal Tap? I'm turning this up to 11. And I'm just like, I don't know what's going on, dude. You're not Rodney Dangerfield. Like,
Don't make me die again.
it's like, you know how if you've been like a drink, if you've binged and then you're really hungover, like that's what I felt like. And like, you don't want someone cracking jokes. You don't want like someone, hey, like Fozzie Bear spinning.
Waka.
It's like, no thanks. So yeah, that's probably the weirdest thing that's happened. That and that probably Tasmanian thing. I don't know.
The Tasmanian thing.
It's a little bit too long to tell, but it's just basically a John Jarrett. Like, I'm pretty sure I met a serial killer in Tasmania, so I don't know how to.
I think. No, I see that Tasmania story is probably one of the
It's
best.
on the podcast.
It is on the podcast. Which episode's it on?
It's one of the earlier ones. Probably 20 or something. It's called the Tasmanian story.
Yeah.
I don't think I do it when I think I tell it live. I think because on the podcast I'm a lot more. This is
You
how
are
I
a lot of people laid
talk.
back.
But when I on stage, I think I let it get a bit loud.
Was that
Yell at
the one
people.
where you went with the beards?
Yeah.
Do you want to give a quick rundown of the story? Like they can hear the whole thing if they go to the Mindboat podcast.
Okay. Again, I don't want to take everyone.
No, go.
It's such a dumb story, but it's insane. So the Beards guys were notorious for having these parties. Like they had an office. They had one of their things. It's like there was this band called the Beards, right? And they all wear beards, sung about beards.
Yeah.
And they're the weirdest
If your
guys.
dad doesn't have a beard, you got two mums.
Yeah. So originally they had a band called the Derry Brothers where they did like kind of rock songs, and then they didn't want anyone to support them, so they did the Beards was like their support act, and then they'll shave their beards off and then pretend that they weren't the same band. It's classic Adelaide.
Way to get booked
trying to get paid
twice.
twice.
Yeah. So these guys just like non-stop creative. So they would go on these weird trips around Australia. And then, so at this party, they were like, we have to go there. And they were throwing darts at Australia. And wherever it landed, they were like, we have to go there. And like, I'm a horrible drunk. This is why I'm not drinking right now. It's because like, I'm probably good for like 5 seconds. And then I get surly and just, disappear, run away. Otherwise I'm just yelling at like ducks sometimes.
Let's
like,
pour him a beer.
So I was just in a corner being angry, and then they were like, "We have to go there," and they're like, "You know who has to go there? Trav Nash." And I went, "Yeah, I got to go there, and I hate it." Right? So I totally forgot about this, and then they sent me like a plane ticket, and I had to go in September to Tasmania, and the place that they landed on was this place called Hastings. No one knows where that is. So we got there, and one of the guys we were with said he's got an uncle that he's never met, was near Hastings, so we could like drive there, stay at his house, and then it was pretty close to Hastings. Oh, sorry, this story is just so ridiculous.
No. Here you go.
So anyway, we went to we were supposed to meet this uncle. We got like a camper van, and like I don't like driving. I don't drive anymore, but I was driving for some reason in like a hired van because there was a few of them. And we went to this pub that was like really quintessential Australian pub, and like, which one's the uncle? And we saw this massive like lummox of a man like leaning against a pole, and we're like, I think, is that him? And he looked smashed. Like he had like cans around that were all like they've all been crushed in his head. Like, I don't know if he's into recycling or something. And then they're like, Trav, you go and ask him. And I'm like, he's your uncle. And he's like, I don't want to be hit. Like, and I don't want to be hit by this guy. So I eventually walked up to the dude and I was like, are you the uncle? He was like, are you the lads? And I went, yeah, I guess collectively, yep, we're lads. And he's like, let's go, lads. And then he jumped into this ute. He stumbled out of the car park, jumped into his ute, and just like Back to the Future, like into the future, he just sped off into the night. And then I was like, what? Were we supposed to follow him? And then he came, we had this like roaring car come back. And then he wandered down the windows. He was like, what's going on, faggots? Can't keep up with your uncle. And I was like, what the hell, dude? I'm like, can you not like drive into the future so we can follow you? We don't know where we're going. And it was pitch black. And then he was like, all right, I'll drive slow. And then he cranked his AC/DC and we had to like follow it, like follow the sirens.
Pied Piper.
And then he like was like, oh, I'm going to take it. He like was yelling at his car like he was driving and then like yelling out the back window. He's like, I've had a few, boys. He's like, I'm going to have to take a secret way home. And then he just turned off into a forest. And then we're going like downhill on a forest. And I've never been like, again, No Man's Sky is pretty scary, but this is up there. It's just missing trees. I think we're on a bike track. And then there was just like, we just looked on the left, like the moon came in and it was just like a cliff face. And we're like, Jesus. And then they all got, because these guys are pretty, they're always joking around, but I've never seen them more serious. They're like, can you not kill us, Trav? And I'm like, I didn't want to go here. Like this whole, I didn't want to play your game. I didn't want to, there's no bonus for me. So we made it down to this house, and he was doing a couple of donuts waiting for us. As you do. It was just like, yeah. And then like we finally drove in, and we were like really just shell shocked. And then he's like, took your time. And then I was like, okay. And then he's like, okay, entrance is here. So he walks up to the door. And he stops in the door and blocks the door and then does like a tea stance. And then I'm like, what is going on here? And then this like woman comes down these stairs. It was a pretty big fancy house, but it looked like a museum. Like it had like old paintings and like weird taxidermy moose heads that looked mute. It looked like it was pretty like Texas Chainsaw Massacre kind of like, it looked clean but like scary at the same time. And candles, no electricity. And it was just in the middle of darkness. And this woman comes down and she looks frightened. And she looks like she's held against her will. She did not look up at us. She was looking down.
Ooh.
And then he's like, put on my robe, bitch. She lifted up his shirt, undid his pants, and he was just not making it easy for her. Like, it's not like he moved his leg. So he's like in his underpants, and then she got this robe and put it over him, and it said like the king in like embroidered thing. What? And then he wasn't going to go into the house without this misogynistic like thing. And then he looked back and he's like, "Well trained, lads." I was like, fuck. What's centric? Did we go back in time? Like, so anyway, we sat in this. It was just like, he was like, there better be some food, bitch, because I got the lads with me. And she was like, yeah, I've been cooking all day. And he was like, you better, you know what happens. And I'm like, oh, God.
Holy shit.
So there was just massive amounts of food. There was just like plates and plates. And she just kept bringing them out. And we're like, well, we're not that hungry. And then during this, none of us wanted to eat because it was just this vibe of like, this is
You're already
good.
Petrified.
So he tries to break the mood by like pulls out a record. And then he pulls out the B-52's Rock Lobster, but plays it at the wrong speed. He's like, how funny is that? Sounds like a horror movie. And like, Rock Lobster sounds like it's a 9-minute song as it is, but like at half the speed. It's like, Rock Lobster. It's like, doon, 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 doon.
Oh, God.
It was creepy. And then he starts bringing this up that he's like, he works at a prison, okay? He reckons he knows Martin Bryant, the Tasmanian shooter. He's like, he loves to dance. He loves it. He's just always dancing. And we're like, okay, I think you deserve, I don't know if you're a warden now. I think you've escaped. Like, and then he's like, hey, Trav, how do you think people have sex in prison? It was like it's like at Christmas time when someone's got those stupid Christmas cracker jokes. And I was like, what? He's like, how do you think they have sex when there's no contraception? How do you think they do it? Because there's a lot of gay sex going on. And I went, I don't know. And he's like, bread bags. And I was like, what? And then he's like, bread bags, Trav. And I'm like, bread bags? And then he was just like, you don't believe me. And I'm like, it's not that I don't believe you.
It's okay, I'll take your word for
like,
it.
You know when you're nervous and you sometimes like repeat it? So I think he misinterpreted my like repeating it like, I don't believe you. I need a visual demonstration. So he pulls back from the table and like opens his robe and he's got his underpants and he gets his penis out. asks his wife, he's like, Cheryl, give me a bread bag. And she shuffles off. I swear to God. She shuffles off like, this isn't the first time she's done this. And
she's got him ready.
Not the bread bags. So I don't know.
Make sure you bring the good one.
Does she have a table? She must have like a cupboard full of bread bags. Because like, it's not like something. Did she get the bread out? So it's not something you have around the house. Normally you throw them out. So I don't know if this is like a party trick or something. So he grabs it and then wraps his dick in it and then just starts hip thrusting the table. And he's like, one of these around your dick, you can go all night. And then he was like, and he's like saliva and his bad teeth and rock lobsters playing. I just was like, I don't know what reality. I don't know if David Lynch is directing my life right now.
Oh my God.
So we all sat there and it was just quiet. And then he's like, what's the matter? You're not hungry? And I'm like, could you put the robe?
Funnily enough,
not. So he closed the robe and then he's like, I think it's bedtime. And we were like, okay, I think it's like 8 o'clock. And he's like, I think it's bedtime. So he led us into this room that was like a spare room. And he pulls down these like grossly stained mattresses that were just laying against the wall. So like, why would he have a room like that? Like, there's some stuff's happened in there, right?
Yeah.
And then he, we try to go to sleep. And then he's like, see you in the morning, boys. If there is a morning. Or something like that.
Say that,
something like that, he said. I swear to God, this happened. He'll come back like every half an hour. We're all like, I think we need to get out of here. And we're all trying. There was like a window because it was like underground. It was kind of like one of those rooms where there was just a window that was like ground level, and you could see the moon and the forest. And then I was like, I think we could probably fit through there if we had to escape. And we were clearly like, I don't think we're going to get out of this. Like, it was just so... for a bunch of comedians, like, we were absolutely dead serious, right? And then he opens the door, I reckon, every 30 minutes, and there was a weird blue light behind him, and he was like a silhouette of black. And then he was like, you guys asleep yet? And then I went, not yet. And he goes, I'll come back later. And then he was like,
fuck off. No way.
Why did he ask that?
Oh my God.
Why did he ask that?
Did you hear a rustle of a bread bag?
In the silhouette, he probably was wearing it. Poor Cheryl. Like, no one. I hope they don't have any kids. Not with the bread bags. Yeah. So yeah, in the morning we survived. No one slept, and then the next day he got his wife and him to line up, and they were like saying goodbye to us. And then I said goodbye to his wife, and she grabbed me like, call the police. Like, I'm pretty sure she gave me that look. Like, I don't know. I really don't think. I'm pretty sure she was something going on there. But she didn't look healthy. She looked like she was malnourished. Right? We should have gone to the cops. Like, but we're so scared. And then he shook my hand, and because I was nervous, and I try to, sometimes I try to be funny. I don't do a very good job. So I said, "Thanks for not killing us." And he pulled me in and was like, "Maybe next time." He was like, "You got away," or something like that. He said, "You got away this time." And then he was like, and I went, oh. And then I got into the car, and he was like, doing a bit of like, yep. And then, so anyway, we found Hastings, and it was like a man-made. It was really beautiful rainforest with this like really nice like heated, like it was a naturally heated spring. Yeah. And none of us said anything. And years later, my friend Jay Rose, apparently that's his uncle. He's like, we had like a family gathering for my brother's birthday. And I don't think that was my uncle. Because he's like, everyone in my family was there. And that guy definitely, like, I would remember if that guy was there.
So who the fuck was he? He's just some guy.
Well, I don't know. Looking back on it, I just said, are you the uncle? And he was referring to us as lads. And then the way he talked to his wife was like, I've got lads with me. So I don't know if it's just natural for him to
just take people
take
home
a
from
group
bars.
of
a couple of people,
dudes.
scare them. I don't know, even if he thinks it scares people, maybe that's what he does. Or he's killed someone. Like, I don't know. But he's
but he's not the uncle.
I have no
He's
idea.
not an uncle to anyone.
I have no idea what was going on, but that guy, he's clearly done something. He's done something. He's at least cut a leg off someone. At the very least.
All right, so that's Mind Boat.
So sorry that took so
That's just one of the awesome stories in Mind Boat.
It's quite engaging, that podcast, actually.
yeah.
I've
What's
been listening
the
to it,
address?
Where
Where can people get onto this craziness?
It's on iTunes and Spotify and all that sort of.
Yeah, I think it's Libsynth.
Yeah,
you got it on.
It's on Libsyn. I don't really have a pro. I can't afford a pro.
Actually, I put it on the.
we'll put it on the.
I've actually put it on the comments for this
awesome.
podcast. Yeah.
Yep. So you can
you'll
download it.
Yep.
Yeah, so it's like over 100 episodes. So like, I think I've used my A material. So now they're just stories about just on the street,
Go to the shops.
people yelling at me, like just crazy people, like where are the Mars bars? Like I saw a guy the other day just like yelling at a shop, like the shop's gonna talk back at him. It's like, oh, we'll have him next week. Like he was it's just that it's not as intense as that story. Like this doesn't happen to me every week. Like I fall into a rape dungeon, like. But it does happen occasionally.
Another highlight is the taxi taxi driver heart attack.
Oh yeah.
So there's some amazing stories there to check out. So I'd very much recommend checking out Mind Boat and having a listen to these crazy stories. In beer news, maybe we'll get to some beer news. The segment of buying beer. It's a bit of a twist. It's about who has bought beer. So who has bought a brewery. So this has sort of been, I've heard this has been a while in the making or something, but it's kind of recently come to light, is that West City Brewing got bought by Grand Ridge.
Yeah, it's an interesting.
Do you know about that
one? Yeah. I'd heard something about it a couple of months ago because I know the guys that set it up originally, and someone had mentioned it sort of offhand.
Yeah,
because it kind of wound up for a couple of years. The guys got busy doing other things, and it just kind of came to a bit of a natural end there. And I know that it had always been a plan to try and sell it off and that sort of thing. And then someone offhand mentioned that Grand Ridge had bought it, and I'm like, oh, no, that's not right. You haven't heard anything about that. And then it's just sort of come out by stealth a little bit.
Yeah, it was like
Crafty ran an article this week about it.
Yeah, I saw a poster that said West City Footscray Ale, and then had a link to an email address. It was a Grand Ridge email address.
Yeah.
That's how I found out.
Yeah.
About it, and then and Crafty Pint ran an article.
Yeah, and that article was sort of suggesting they're going to continue the two beers that the boys had built up through there, but then also thinking about running a stream, I guess, kind of like Boat Rocker did with the sub brand for a while, where they had the Suburban Pale and that sort of thing. But this sort of those West Side beers coming out of Grand Ridge is like a sub brand.
Yeah,
that's owned by Grand Ridge,
which is it's interesting because you couldn't get further away from the West City than Grand Ridge.
Gippsland's pretty east.
Yeah, it's the other side, completely the other side. But so what I heard is because I said I just thought this makes no sense at all. No. Like from a brand alignment point of view, why would you do that? But I heard that Grand Ridge bought a pub in Footscray. Oh. So I don't know if this is true. That's what I heard is they bought a pub in Footscray. And that's why they're running.
That's what's fueling
That's
it.
why they've got the West City. So that'll be
So
and then that'll be served at that pub. So the interesting thing is that Bevan's gone with the brand. So Bevan's going to be helping.
Yeah, that's what the article was suggesting.
Yeah,
helping
like a
Grand
bit of
an
an
ambassador sort of thing, I guess.
Yeah, so he'll be doing the relaunch of the beer with the original thing, and then the intent to do more beers over time. So. That's interesting.
There's been some pretty interesting acquisitions this year, the last couple of years, really. But that's definitely a bit of a left of centre.
Yeah, well, another Gippsland one we've talked a few episodes is Mornington being bought out by a tribe.
Yeah.
Which is which is also an interesting sort of development. That kind of makes a bit more sense because they're starting a brewery in Gippsland. Yeah, where they're building that huge brewery out there, brew pack.
Yeah.
or Tribe. What are they going?
Stockade was the. So I mean, Brewpack was the contract side of the business. Stockade was their beers that they're taking to market there. But then they have a number of bits in that sort of portfolio.
Now to Tribe or something.
Well, I think that's like the collective bit. All of those things sort of sit under it as a group.
Okay.
Yeah, that was my interpretation around it.
So the brewery here is going to be called Tribe
Yeah.
Brewing. The one in Sydney is still going to be called
I think it's still Stockade.
Stockade
and
and
that's built as a
Brewpack?
brand. Yeah.
And Brewpack as well, or are they going to relabel Brewpack?
I don't know. I guess it's kind of like Hawkers, but then they have their contract business is set up as its own name and entity and that sort of thing. Yeah, and I think that's how Brewpack kind of works around that as well. So when you contract brew beer at Hawkers, for example, you're doing it with that part of the business.
What's the Hawkers brand?
I can't think what it's called. It's Aussie Brewers Guild or something along those lines. Yeah, I think it's ABG or something like that. Yeah, I mean, it's not uncommon. It's a way of sort of showing one part of the business and revenue stream versus another piece in there. But yeah, I mean, there's been a lot of rumours about Mornington for a while now. There's sort of been building up a bit of critical mass and and stuff. But yeah, it was an interesting one to see that kind of acquisition, which is sort of part of the portfolio, and I guess it's linking into increased distribution and those sort of things, economies of scale, where Mornington built a production brewery a few years back and certainly pulled that up, but I guess now as part of that piece they could potentially leverage into the big infrastructure they've got up in Sydney with Brewpack and that sort of thing. So there's sort of some good stuff there potentially for them.
And Barrow Boys as well. In that article that I mentioned, Barrow Boys is no longer...
Yeah, that's all sort of folding up.
Yeah.
So,
that's a
bit sad, but...
Well, I think from what I read, it's more that the guys have...
They've just sort of drifted away
over the
time.
Gone doing other stuff.
I mean, that was sort of started with that core group of guys that were ex-creatures, little creatures, for those playing at home. And, they've sort of, over time, gone off in different directions. So, Ash took position over at Colonial there and is heading up those operations. And I guess kind of it's just been a bit of a natural attrition there where there's one guy kind of left holding the bag. And, it's like all things, you go into a business with partners and that sort of thing, everyone brings their own bit to it. And when you start pulling those bits out, it's going to become difficult.
Yeah. It's a tough sort of thing. But the other sort of bit of beer news is Stone and Wood settled their trademark dispute, which is weird.
It's a long running.
Yeah, how long was that?
It first flared up probably 3 odd years ago now.
Yeah,
when Thunder Road pulled out their Pacific Ale and
it was kind of interesting the whole, because it sort of brought up how that whole thing works. So Stone and Wood had the trademark in unison with CUB.
Yeah, there was an agreement there. Yeah,
an agreement because CUB had they've got Pacific Beverages.
Yeah,
they own Pacific Beverages and
something
Pacifico.
To do with
so they were always labelled to have Pacific Ale or anything beer related was Pacific branded. And then Stone and Wood obviously built Pacific Ale into the brand that it is, whereas a lot of people, a Stone and Wood and a Pacific Ale are kind of synonymous with each other. A lot of people just think of Stone and Wood as Pacific Ale.
Yeah, that's right.
But I'm talking about not sort of craft beer drinkers.
No, but it's
in the wider
flagship,
public.
and it's one and the same. It's what you identified them as.
Exactly. When people will ask for a bit, they're saying, "Oh, I get a Stone and Wood," and that's the thing that they're talking about. Yeah. So they built up this brand with Pacific Ale. It's always number 1 or number 2 in the Host 100 all the time, and anytime there's any
very
voting.
popular beer.
It is. It's good. It's a good beer. It's a good crossover beer as well. It's sort of it's one of those beers that you can kind of give to anybody, and they're going to be happy with. So they built this brand up, which now CUB is starting to release Pacific Ales. They've got, I think they've got 2.
Yeah, they've got they've got a Fat Yak one.
Yeah, Fat Yak and Four Pines.
Yes.
Yeah, so Four Pines have got a Pacific Ale and Fat Yak's got a Pacific Ale. So the guys at Thunder Road saw an opportunity and decided they'd grab it.
Yeah.
And and this is the problem, is that the argument was whether Pacific Ale is an actual brand
or a style.
Yeah. And I'd argue once you get 3 all calling the same thing, it's no longer a brand. It's then very easily argued as a style. So I don't know. What do you think? Well, do you think it's...
Yeah, look,
should they have called it something else? Like, maybe they should have seen it coming up at some point.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, I think from my perspective, Thunder Road was very much a deliberate attempt at agitation.
Yes.
You know, that was the thing. They weren't doing it because they wanted to release a beer. That was that. They wanted to take them on and cause some grief, which they've had a pretty good history of doing. They hold a number of sort of trademarks, and they seem they've been very good at buying up trademarks over the years, and that under the auspice of setting up education centres and that kind of thing around. But they tightly control a lot of that sort of stuff through there. And you've seen it with advertising for their own stuff there, where they have the Collingwood draft and those sort of things, trying to poke at CUB.
Yeah,
I guess there
was another one they tried to buy that CUB actually had.
Yeah.
And they lost.
Yeah, they did, because that's the thing. Like, obviously, CUB own a lot of trademarks from acquisitions historically. With all the conglomeration of breweries back in the early 1900s and stuff. But in order to continue to hold a trademark, it has to remain active. So you've got to release something under it every so many years. So that's why you'll see limited runs of things like Richmond Lager and Ballarat Bitter and McCracken's and stuff like that. They'll generally be a very limited release, but it's just enough that it's gone out in market, so it's defensible in court and those sort of things around. But they did get, I guess, they have a pretty big portfolio. Yeah. And I think, they did get a little bit lax with one or two that got snapped up with Thunder. Yeah. I guess it's an interesting one where, where initially they were sort of just taking on CUB, and we kind of saw that was okay because, well, they're the big boys, they got big chins, and they're not making it easy for us. I guess the interesting thing the thing that made it perhaps a little bit different with Stone and Wood was that they were kind of seen as one of us. They're one of the craft guys. We generally stick together. We generally aren't fighting against each other because there's some bigger elephants in the room that just warrant more attention around that. And I think that was probably the stumbling block around that piece and why Stone and Wood became so defensive around it as well, because it's one of your own having a crack at you effectively.
Yeah, it was weird, and it's sort of Thunder Road have sort of positioned themselves in an interesting way. Like, I don't think they really came in the way a lot of the other craft breweries sort of came in, which is that kind of the grassroots and really sort of involved in things. They sort of came in and immediately went into tap contracts and trying to buy up pubs and trying to buy up taps.
But behave like the big guys, basically.
Yeah, and the brewery, from my understanding, is absolutely amazing. Like the owner has got a passion for beer. It's not like he's gone into this thinking, I think beer's where money is. I think he's just enjoyed beer and then worked his way of making that as much money, to generate as much money as he can possibly get out of it.
At the end of the day, it's a business, right?
It is a business, yeah. But it is interesting the way they go about it, in things. And I actually met the guy at one of the beer awards, at the AIBA awards. Oh. And really nice guy, but I said to him, well, I don't really understand what you're doing. Like, I don't know where you're marking us. Well, we're here, we're here to help, and we want to be in the industry, and blah 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 blah. Gave him his business card and was like, give me a call if you want to use the lab and stuff. And we've had stuff tested,
awesome,
at the lab and stuff. And they're kind of open, but it's interesting. Like, they don't. When they do things like that, you just kind of think, well, what sort of thing are you communicating,
And I guess that's, that's sort of the sole sum of my experience with them, is just from that observational perspective. I haven't met any of the guys or anything like that, so I don't have any sort of personal reference
well, they don't turn
around
up to
them
very
and
many
stuff.
festivals.
No, you don't really see them around as such, so they kind of sit on the sides there a little bit.
It does seem like they go for the bigger brand, like the big deals.
Yes.
So they'll go to a chain of chicken.
They're set up for volume. So,
volume, exactly. Yeah. Talking about awards, another beer news is we've got the Beeries.
Yes, in Queensland, in Brizzy. Yeah.
The Beery Awards.
It's a great name.
Awesome, man. What do you win?
Beer, I
Golden beer.
believe.
Beer and all the glory
Yeah,
you can
the-
get.
It sounds better than the Logies. Like the Logies sounds
Yeah.
like something that comes out of your nose.
Yeah.
Like the Beeries, that should be
Yeah.
on the flag. Like that
Who was it that said the Logie? It looks like someone trying to steal a TV. It was Russell Gilbert. Russell Gilbert said it looks like his uncle trying to nick a TV.
Yes.
Heading out the window. But yeah, the Beer Awards is actually open for voting now, so anyone can jump on and vote. Probably, unless you're living in Brisbane, it's probably not going to really appeal to you as much.
Because it's on beer and it's venues. You know, it's obviously got the brewery focus, but it's wider industry. So it's the bars
it seems
and
it's
that's
got
the
more
whole
of a,
community.
Yeah, it's more of
just
a
cool.
lean towards the industry. So you
Big
got like
hospo
best
bit to it.
Yeah, you got best bartender,
Yeah.
best beer rep.
Yeah.
So yeah, jump on there and have a look. If you're in Brisbane, you probably know all the bartenders and things like that, and you can have a vote. And all the money goes to Brews Vegas
Yeah, awesome.
as well, which is pretty cool. So
Yeah.
that's the
Big
Queensland
festival.
Beer Festival. Have you been up there?
Not for Brew Vegas, but when the Craft Brewer Conference was up there a couple of years ago, I was up there. So I hadn't been up to Brisbane for a few years before that, and yeah, the scene was really good.
Yeah,
Great stuff happening.
Are you thinking of sending your beer out to Queensland and around
Not
different
at this
states?
stage. So I mean, I guess we've been doing wholesale for probably about 18 months or so now, and yeah, we've just got sort of small little brewery there, and you know a few venues. So most of the product's been going through our own side of things.
That's the thing. When you guys started, it was amazing
Yeah.
how quickly it got picked up.
Yeah, that's it. And so I guess we're now just sort of in a position where we've got some efficiencies within the business that mean we can start to take that a bit further. So we've gone from a very manual process for bottling product to now having an automated line out at our production brewery. And that's a bit of a game changer for us. Coming into summer, we were working pretty hard last year for summer, trying to keep up with stock, and had some mobile units coming in to help us out with that pack out. But now we're going to be able to do that ourselves. So I think we've always had a pretty local focus in terms of distribution. That's, we've got a lot of stuff through east and southeast and a little bit heading into town and as far west as Footscray and the Plough Hotel. So I think the next thing would be to start to take that a bit wider inside Melbourne and stuff, and then think about, I guess, once you start getting too far out, it's those linkages in the chain to make sure it's all been handled well. It's really good.
Some of your beers here.
Yeah. So yeah, we've got a couple of beers with us today. Little India, which
chuck that near the camera there.
Yeah, just lift it up a bit. Yeah.
where are we?
Yeah,
There we go.
that's about it. There you go.
So yeah, Little India is our session IPA. So this is one of our core beers. We do 5 core beers that are around all year round. And this one's a mid-strength, so it's 3.8.
Doesn't taste like a mid-strength.
No, it's pretty ballsy. It's got plenty of hop character in there. It tastes like an IPA. And I guess for us, where we sort of sit, a lot of people wouldn't necessarily have been that familiar with what a session IPA was. They just see IPA, cool, hops, sweet.
Yeah.
And the nice thing they get there is that it tastes like an IPA, but it doesn't have the 6% ABV price tag sitting on it, so it's pretty friendly around that perspective. I guess we've always sort of had a bit of an attitude around responsible drinking and enjoying what you're drinking, as opposed to just getting smashed.
Just spin that bottle where it is. Pretty much.
sure.
Just spin it
Also,
around. There you go.
Lift it up a tiny bit, because the other thing that I love,
slide it to your right a little bit, and then you just sit there. Yeah, there you go. Perfect.
if you turn it around, it's a really good.
It's the back of it.
No, the
If
other
you,
way.
if you, no, that's something I want to show.
Oh, on the back.
I really love this. Standard drinks is 1, so it's
That's
it's
it.
really good if
It's
you're
a
counting
really
your
good-
drinks at a barbecue.
Oh,
or
that's
something.
It's
one. It's perfectly one standard.
Oh,
drink.
yeah.
It's a good little counter. We do a light beer as well, featherweight, which is 0.75 as standard. And I think the thing they're small beers are hard beers to make and make sure you got flavour in there. That's the thing. They're a challenge. Yeah, the reality is when your alcohol requires ingredients, so more malt in there, the more flavour. Alcohol is flavour as well. So when you start pulling back on those things, it becomes a bit more of a challenge. So I enjoy those smaller beers. You have to work hard to crank them through. One of the easiest things to do is to brew a really big beer, throw a heap of hops at it, heap of booze. It's going to have flavour. So trying to craft something from a small amount is is a real challenge, but one we enjoy.
Because you're started home brewing.
Yeah, I did.
So for people, home brewers that are sort of listening, what do you reckon's one of the secrets of getting one of these session beers, like balancing that out?
Yeah, I guess you've got to, it's exactly that. It's about balance. So, you've got to respect that the more malt and alcohol you've got, the more hops you can carry around that. So you've got to keep everything in tune, right? So, it's only 3.8. You can't go hopping it like an IPA.
Yeah.
So you sort of got to dial it back a little bit. The bitterness is around about 40 IBU.
Yep.
Which for a small beer is right up there, but if you added another 2% ABV, you're going to be looking at sort of 60 IBU plus or that. So it's about sort of keeping that scale of that profile you want and just starting to bring it back through.
Do you do anything different in the mash? Do you like mashing it a bit hotter or
with
longer?
This? Well, with this one, because I want it to be a really dry finish, it's just a low mash. It's about 65, and I'm not looking for any body. With something like the featherweight, I mash higher, and I'll use dextrin malt in there as well, just try and build up that mouthfeel, because that's the thing with light beers is they're really thin and watery, and there's no body to it. So when you drink that one, it's more like it almost it's not a full strength, but it comes across as more of a mid strength in terms of palate weight. And then dry hopping is really important as well. If you can get those hop oils into solution, that brings up the mouthfeel there as well. So using a number of different levers to help bring that through, and it's a bit of trial and error around that sort of stuff to find your sweet spot too.
Yeah. Cool. And the other one you brought was the smoke on the porter.
Smoke on the porter.
Great name.
That's an awesome name.
That's
an amazing name.
Yeah,
what does it do with these names? Little India. What's the backstory?
Little India is it's a Little India IPA, a Little India Pale Ale.
What's the IPA?
IPA is
layman about these.
Yeah, no, that's cool. It's IPA is India Pale Ale, so traditionally it's an English style of beer. There's a lot of romanticism around that style of beer. People suggest that it was a beer that was brewed higher alcohol, higher hop, put into barrels, chucked onto ships, and made its way over to India to the colonies. There's some truth to that. But it's not completely accurate. There's like most things in history, lots of conflicting viewpoints around these things, and that's what makes it wonderful, right? But generally speaking, they're higher alcohol beers, so sort of 6% plus, highly hopped. It's a style that became really popular in the States with the craft beer, movement. So pale ale's kind of the poster boy, but sort of 10 years on, IPA is kind of where it's at as far as that's concerned. More hot. It's like a hops arm race. More hops, more flavour. Bang, bang, bang. And it kind of continues today. So the whole idea with this one, the session IPA, it's sessionable. So it's something that you can drink a number of and quite enjoy, I guess, with those bigger beers or traditional IPAs, they're palate smashers, there's big booze, so you start to get drunk quite quickly in that. So you can only drink so many of them along the way before you start to get that palate fatigue. So the name with that one, Little India, it's a Little India IPA. Some of them are just sort of named around the style. Some of them are just, the hardest bit of brewing a beer is naming it. The brewing's easy, but the smoke on the porter, which is the other one that I've brought in, this is one of our little specialty beers. So we've got our production brew, we've got our brew pub in Croydon there, and the brew pub is really just sort of the playground. It's where we do the fun stuff, the small batch seasonals and that. So smoke on a porter is one of our seasonals we've been doing for a few years now. And it's smoked porter, so it has a bit of smoked malt in there, which just gives you a nice different sort of element to the beer there as well. We use Gladfield malt in the brewery for pretty much all of our beers, and they do a really cool smoked malt that uses Manuka wood. So Manuka, is part of that. Making honey, really distinctive sort of honey in New Zealand. Traditionally, smoked malt, you think of like Bamberg in Germany, it's really big, small good, hammy bacon sort of stuff, which is great. Love that. The Manuka smoke is a lot more subtle.
Yeah.
So you get a little bit of small good action in there, but it's pretty restrained. You get like a little bit of a honeyed sweetness in it as well, which just balances that dark malt quite nicely.
I use the Gladfield smoke malt, the peated smoke malt that they use.
Oh, yeah.
Which in my beer in Bandit, and it's amazing. I think Gladfield are one of the best malts that I've used.
Yeah.
They really do a lot of interesting things, and they're putting out new malts all the time and things like that. But the thing that I love about their smoked malt is the consistency in it.
Yeah.
Previous to that, I was using I was using the imported malt that was peated in Europe and sent down, and depending on when I was drinking it, it would be a completely different flavour.
Yeah.
You know. Sometimes it'd be incredibly smoky. Other times you wouldn't get it at all. So you just need that consistency, and that's the important thing.
I think part of
about
that too is just the locality around it. So Gladfield's coming out of New Zealand. It hasn't travelled half the world.
Exactly.
Don't know how long it's been sitting around. They generally are doing it in smaller batches. So you turn over, you're getting fresher, better quality stuff more often. We're getting some good malts just starting in Australia. It's early days. Voyager. So Coopers have put a really big malting plant in, and they're pulling through some malt and looking at some sort of heritage varieties, much like Voyager is. And Voyager's pretty cool because they're working directly with farmers, and that's in the very similar sort of model to what Gladfield do as well. They grow their own grain. They have their own farmers that they work with, family business, and I think. It's great to see those sort of businesses really invested in our industry, who are as interested in flavour profiles and the quality of a product, as opposed to traditionally your big malts in Australia are geared more around what the big boys are after, so brewhouse performance, maximum extract, their other big customers is into Asia, where they're not necessarily looking for the same sort of flavour profiles. Yeah. It's more about grain in, extract out.
Yeah, exactly. It's very much in that sort of element. Do you guys sell online?
Yeah, we do. So we've got an online shop on our website. Yep. Yeah, so you can jump on. So you can buy our own beer through there, and we also do sell. So we have a bottle shop at the brew pub there. So we feature a lot of other independent Vic micros.
Yep.
We have available for sale beer, wine, cider from a variety of different producers on there as well. Yeah.
And if you haven't been out to the Croydon Brewery, it is a really cool little setup.
Yeah, we like it.
You've got it's like about 4 or 5 different beer businesses or alcohol businesses crammed into one location.
Yeah, it is.
It's sort of like the playground of alcohol.
Yeah, that's it.
If you want to talk people through it, so you walk in through the bottle shop, which is, I always say, it's kind of like leaving out through the gift shop. On the way out.
Well, it's like the supermarkets have got it nailed with all the lollies and stuff. Sitting right there at the register. We're no different. So yeah, look, we have a bottle shop on site there that's open 7 days a week, so you can pop in there anytime through the week from 11 o'clock for your craft booze needs. So as I said before, it's a good spot to get our own beer as well as beer from other great Vic micros. Yep. Really good wine range out of the Yarra Valley, and we've also been getting into the craft distilling side of things as well, in terms of featuring a lot of different gins.
You do Friday tastings as well, don't you?
Yeah, we do. So every week on a Friday in the bottle shop there, you can come in from 5 o'clock. There'll be a spotlight on a particular producer, where it's beer, cider, wine, and spirits. Through this, I think we had Temple in there last night around that. So that's really good opportunity to sort of engage with those different products. But yeah, look, once you get out of the bottle shop, first thing you see is the brew house, so the little brew pub system that we started with 4.5 years ago. And as I said, when we're talking about the beers there, that's kind of the playground. It's where we get to play with new ingredients, beer styles, all of those sort of things for our short run stuff. And sitting right next to that is our brew on premise. So it's where you can come in as a punter and brew your own small batch of beer, which is pretty exciting.
Yeah.
A lot of people like beer, and like anything, as you sort of get into it more, you start to want to understand a little bit about the mechanics of what goes into making it. So part of the business giving you the opportunity to come in and do that. And I've always took the mentality of focusing that around beer styles. So what I don't want to do is have you come in and say, okay, I like drinking this particular beer. That's what I want to make. Because yeah, what I've always thought around that is, well, you can just go into the shop and buy that.
Yeah.
That's cool. How about you explore the ingredients and that? So we really focus that around different styles of beer, pale ales, ambers, reds, browns, stouts, things that are hop focused, things that are more malt focused and that. And really, you know, it's an opportunity for people to engage with the ingredients that go into making it. So they get to smell the hops, they get to taste the different grains and stuff. We produce the base ingredient on site, so we're not using big drums of malt extract or anything like that.
I know, which is really good about that, because a lot of the brew on premises stuff, it's like you pick your goop.
Yeah, that's it.
You put it into a bucket.
A whole heap of water.
And then you dump it in, and then you could just do that at a homebrew shop, though, really.
That's right, and it'll cost you less.
Yeah.
You know, so... Yeah, look, we it basically gives you the sort of advantages of all grain brewing, but without having to spend sort of 6-7 hours going through a full mash cycle and that sort of stuff. So that's really popular, and you can book sessions for that online via our website. There's lots of information on there about it and how it works. Then we've got the bar and restaurant part of the business there as well. So that's open Wednesday through to Sunday. So we're open from 4 o'clock on a Wednesday and a Thursday, 12 on a Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So you can come down for lunch over the weekend and on Friday. And it's pretty relaxed. It's all about food that goes well with beer.
With beer, yeah.
That's what you want. So highly recommend the fried chicken. That's
fried
really good. The burgers are good.
Yeah.
So it's a really relaxed space. So we don't have a particular demographic. It's not like people just come there to geek out about being beer nerds or anything like that. We got a lot of families, older couples and groups. And a lot of communal seating and that sort of thing in there as well. So everyone sort of nicks in. We do a bit of live music on a Sunday afternoon as well, which is a bit of fun, nice, relaxed sort of atmosphere. And really, it's all just about coming down, enjoying yourself, spending time with your friends. So, we don't have TV screens there with the footy on. No one's yelling about, how well or badly their team's doing and what the ref thinks and that sort of thing. There's plenty of places you can go for that. For us, it's all about just enjoying the products, enjoying each other's company, having conversation. What pubs used to be. It's very, very family friendly. Like you got the beer garden out the back. Yeah.
Which is the weather's starting to get a little bit nicer, so you can get out there.
It was cracking out there yesterday. It'll be good there today.
Beer snobs? There's none of that.
Oh, there's still you'll definitely get some beer snobs in.
There's always going to be
There's always going to be some beer snobs, but that's not what the place is about. It's nothing about being elitist about it or anything like that.
No
And
one's eating cheese.
it's Croydon. It's not Fitzroy.
That is true. It is, but it's a nice part of Croydon.
It's such a lovely part of Croydon.
Yeah, it's such a good laid back environment, that place. It's awesome. Yeah.
And the good thing is as well, you have how many taps you got on? You got 4.
So we've got 8 taps now.
8 taps now, yeah. And you got 4 of yours and I think 4 rotating?
So we're generally running all of the core beers. So we're running sort of 6 beers on tap that are ours at any one time. And then maybe a specialty or 2 on top of that, depending on what we've got coming out of the brew house. And then, we feature other beers. So we'll do some Thursday night sessions where we'll get a keg in, because we've always done a local focus. So it's always been about other Vic beers and that. But more recently, we've been getting some guest beers in from interstate. And even we had Sierra Nevada on the other week, their pale ale. On a Thursday night, and just using that as a bit of a way to, open up people's experiences of different beers beyond just, what's available locally around that piece. And then, continuing to still feature. So when we have those Friday night tastings, if it's a brewery, and we've generally got one of their kegs on that night as well, so people can taste the range up in the bottle shop and then come down and enjoy a pint.
And it's good because the guys behind the bar are really sort of open and stuff. They'll give you a taste of the different beers and let you know sort of what's something that you might like. In there. So I think a lot of people get kind of worried when they're going to like craft beer venues and like, they're not going to have Carlton Draft, don't know what I'm going to drink.
That's
but this they can sort of steer you towards something that's going to actually be.
And it's really, it's good fun to watch people sort of come along that journey as well, where they will come in expecting to drink something like Carlton Draft or whatever it might be, and then just seeing that light bulb moment of being pleasantly surprised by something that's a bit different to, their expectation and stuff, and they might find that, a beer that's a darker colour isn't as scary as they thought it was, or whatever it might be. It's kind of cool.
So there's bartenders there where you could be like, I kind of like this beer, but I don't know what I want, and they'll know exactly what to recommend.
Look, they're pretty good around that. And then I think as I was saying before, a really good tool is just letting people experience it. So
just try
we'll give them a taste and see what they think. And before they commit to having a pot or a pint of it or that sort of thing around as well. So it's pretty fail safe as far as that's concerned. Yeah, the risk is low.
Yeah.
The rewards are huge.
Should be a slogan.
Put it on the door.
That's it.
And on the way,
Of you giving the
I'll,
thumbs up.
I'll speak to the boss when I get back.
Yeah.
It's a new one.
and then on the way out, you can grab a bunch of beers from the gift shop.
That's it.
Back out. Yeah.
Indeed.
Now, getting to one of my sort of favorite things is talking about Star Trek and geeking out on Star Trek, because finally, for so many years, we've been in a Star Trek drought, and now there just seems to be Star Trek bloody everywhere, which is amazing. The actual, in a bit of not so great news, the actual new Star Trek movie has stalled production.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
okay.
have you heard about this?
No.
So Chris Hemsworth was going to be in it, and Chris Pine, the guy that plays Kirk.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Obviously, once it was announced that Hemsworth is going to be in it, and two Chris's for the price of one, everyone's kind of getting very excited about it. So in true sort of Hollywood fashion, the two Chris's have gone, no. Well, actually, you know what? We want more money, so we're not going to be in your movie unless you pay a hell of a lot of money. So they've had to stall production while they try to work out how they can afford the two Chris's.
It's very mature, isn't it?
Well, think about it. You got to get the money.
Oh yeah.
If your name's Chris, you should get paid for that.
It's a big
being Chris,
franchise.
yeah.
It's a big franchise. But the problem is that ordinarily the studio would just be like, just give them the money.
Yeah.
We just need to have this done. But there's the parallel Star Trek movie that's coming out, which is the Quentin Tarantino Star Trek.
What?
Quentin Tarantino is making a Star
They're
Trek.
like doubling up on it all.
Yeah.
and
Are you serious?
It's just too
Deadly
I don't know.
serious.
Oh,
Quentin
He's
Tarantino.
doing a new movie that's like about the Manson killings.
He's
Is he
doing both.
It's
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
the
yeah.
same movie.
He
Samuel L. Jackson will be in it.
He told me like came out of a bin in the 90s after seeing Top and you're like, did you like that movie? And I'm like, yeah, it's pretty good. It's like he's going to be doing Star Trek.
There's going to
Yeah.
be
I
motherfucking
would put
snakes
the
on the
can back on
motherfucking
it.
Enterprise.
So, well, apparently the way it came about was Tarantino loves Star Trek. Like, he's a huge Star
Oh,
Trek
wow.
fan.
Well, he loves everything.
And he does. He loves anything pop culture or media related. So, yeah. So he loves Star Trek and loves Next Gen, all this sort of stuff. Anyway, he's like hanging out with J.J. Abrams.
Just chilling.
Just chilling, you know what I mean? And they're having
that
a
would be
chat.
amazing seeing those guys.
Yeah.
Like, they're both so hypermanic and
Yeah, so it would be pretty insane.
They might just cancel each other out.
Yeah.
Be really
Yeah.
calm.
It's just nothing. Yeah, exactly.
So,
speaking slowly.
yeah. So they're hanging out. So he's around, like, they're hanging out talking about stuff, and they're in, the J.J. Abrams office or whatever, and they're talking about stuff, and Tarantino's like, man, I love Star Trek. I'd love to just write a Star Trek, and J.J. Abrams like, yeah, well, why don't you? He goes, what do you mean? He goes, well, we're doing Star Trek now. Do you want to do a Star Trek? So he's like, hey, okay.
Can you imagine that? Just
So
like-
yeah, so he just decides to. So him, J.J. Abrams, and the dude that wrote The Revenant
oh wow.
are making a Star Trek film.
Can you imagine the dialogue in this movie now? It's gonna be like
Yeah.
Star Trek people talking about
It's
a
gonna get a bit sweary.
different planets.
It's a lot of
McDonald's.
Motown as well.
Yeah.
Great soundtrack.
Yeah.
But what's even better? It's like all this stuff's kind of now started coalescing. So Patrick Stewart, the most amazing Star Trek captain,
Yes.
Captain Picard, he's now
He's in a new
returning.
series,
He's a
yeah.
new series, but he has like
He's
one of the
asking for more
favorite
money.
No, well, one of the favorite Star Trek episodes of Tarantino's is the Next Gen, yesterday's Enterprise, the Next Gen episode of that. right?
Yep. Okay.
So Patrick Stewart hears about it and goes, "Man, I'd love to be in the Star Trek thing. I'd love to work with Quentin Tarantino." So Tarantino's like, "Oh, really? All right, sweet." So maybe they're thinking that it might actually be a Quentin Tarantino Star Trek with Jean-Luc Picard,
Awesome.
which would just be like, it's just insane. So
Yeah.
to hell with the two Chris's. Those movies aren't even that good anyway.
No.
And the Tarantino version will be in the original universe as well.
Yeah,
So this is
sweet.
all sort of
This sounds like
Gone
fan
off.
fiction. This sounds like a 5-year-old.
It almost does.
put in a
you know what
a
it
cake of all their favorite.
Do you know
stuff.
what it is, right? This is why these things are. This is why I believe these things are happening, right? It's the whole Marvel effect. Marvel came in, started making these movies that just went gangbusters. So suddenly all the studios are like, nerds. We need nerds. Get a bunch of nerds to come in here and greenlight films because that's what's going to make us money now. So they're getting all these nerds in, and nerds are like, I love Tarantino and Picard and Star Trek. So let's get them in a room. And then they call him. They're like, do you want to just do a Star Trek? He's like, yeah, that'd be fun. So that's what it is. It's just the nerd. And then when this comes up, ordinarily, like in previous Hollywood, that would have come, someone would have gone, Tarantino wants to write a Star Trek film. And the studio would have gone, no, what the hell are you talking about? That doesn't make sense.
He could probably talk himself into it, you know. Yeah. Have you ever heard him do like pitches or like
Tarantino?
You watch the behind the scenes of Pulp Fiction where he's talking about the deleted scenes, but he does like 20 minutes like, okay, you know, when I make a movie, I make it the way I want it, okay? If this is cut from the movie, it's cut because I don't like it, okay? So when I got Bruce Willis walking out drinking a Pepsi, he's not drinking the Pepsi because I don't want it in the movie. And you're like, all right, dude, why are you yelling at me, man? Like, I just want to.
It'd be so intense to know,
yeah. So imagine him doing a pitch like for Star Trek. Like,
they just say yes because they just want to just get him out of the room. They're just like, okay, that's too much. You got to get out of here.
Well, I think it's just a point of just like, you know, you're going to make money off a Tarantino film.
People will go to see it because it's Tarantino on the
and then they'll buy it.
Yeah.
On DVD and then Blu-ray and then any other extended version.
The Grindhouse, I think he. I mean, I like those films.
The Grindhouse was good,
but I think no one knew. A lot of people didn't know what Grindhouse was. I don't think they got how much he nailed that look of those sorts of films.
Yeah. Well, it wasn't hyped a lot though, was it?
I think he also demanded that they play them on like real.
Yeah,
and I think a lot of cinemas couldn't do that.
Oh yeah,
can be restrictive.
He did the same with the Hateful Eight.
Yeah, but I think that was much more serious a film. Like, and the cast was like so
the cast you had was going to demand that sort of respect around it.
Yeah.
Well, I remember they started putting in different projectors just to play that film.
Yeah, he was paying for that.
Yeah,
you know, he's just got money. He's like, I don't care. Still got my Pulp Fiction money, like my Kill Bill money.
Star Trek money.
Imagine that. Just like, not only if I made a movie, but here's a specific camera that you have to like. Yeah. You put, you know.
It's like he's got shares in it.
He probably does. He probably bought the whole thing. He bought he did buy a chain of cinemas.
A theater,
yeah. Pretty sure he did. So that's interesting to see what'll happen with that movie. Like, they might just, because it was going to be, well, we're doing the Two Chris's movie and that'll be the big Star Trek, you know, tentpole thing, and no one kind of believed the Tarantino thing was going to happen. But now Paramount's kind of switched and gone, well, maybe we should just spend all our time. Everyone's losing their mind over the news that Tarantino is going to be doing a Star Trek. So let's just focus on that and forget about the other one for a while. It's all J.J. Abrams anyway. He owns the whole franchise.
What's going on in movies, though? Because they're making a live-action Sonic the Hedgehog. Really? How does that work? Jim Carrey is going to be Dr. Robotnik or Eggman. Jim Carrey.
Really?
Yeah, and they've released... like, it's a suburban street, and there's a sign saying "Welcome to Green Hills." It's like, so they're in production now. This isn't a joke.
What? Holy shit!
I don't know what we're living in. Like, I think
crazy times.
A live action Sonic the Hedgehog.
And
who's going to watch that? When's the last time Sonic did anything?
It's like they made that Slender Man film, and Slender Man hasn't, you know, that meme ran its course 2 years ago. Like, and they're going to do that Five Nights at Freddy's, and that, you know, kids like that 6 years ago, and you know, by the time that
I don't even know what a Five Nights at Freddy's is.
It's a stupid indie game.
Okay.
Where it's like jump scares. It was, and this guy, he's a genius. He keeps releasing a new one every 6 months, and people keep buying it. And,
is that like the Nun thing?
No, it's...
Or is that something else?
That's something different. But it's just like, you're in a pizzeria. You know those... in America, they got those pizzerias with the animatronic...
Oh, yeah.
I only reference...
Chuck E. Cheese.
Yeah, Chuck E. Cheese. So it's like that, but you're supposed to be a security guard at night. It's a bare basic game. You can't move. And then you look at security cameras and these animatronics come to life, and you got to keep shutting doors, but the doors have got power. So you basically, like, with the rise of like Let's Players, you know, like the kids that there's just basically kids like that because they were like and panicking when they got the jump scare because these things just like pop up. So that was like 5 years ago, and now they've bought the rights and they're going to make a movie that hasn't even been in production yet. So by the time that comes out, You don't even know. Like, you guys don't know what I'm talking
No,
about.
no
but
idea, man.
But
that's-
it could be the catalyst to bring it back, you know, into popular.
I mean,
Who
I
knows?
don't. There's so many good ideas for movies. Like, that's, you know.
That's not one of
They
them.
should just bring me in. I'll tell the Tasmanian story.
Yeah, exactly.
That's a movie.
already got
I
John
would watch
Jarratt.
that movie.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if that's a kids movie though.
Bring your family. Like, you bring your kids.
Scarred for life.
Just a really graphic bread bag scene.
Yeah.
That's the name of the movie.
Bread bag.
But you
Oh
can
my
help.
god, yeah.
And it's the last reveal.
Yeah.
Yeah. Why is it called bread bag? Don't tell anyone why it's
Yeah.
called bread bag.
You can
Let
do it
'em
really
find out.
tastefully as well. Like, do that scene, like in Kill Bill, where it goes black and white.
Yeah.
Do black and white for the bread bag. It's not actually showing you, but you know what's.
You can just hear the rustling.
It's a tight shot of his face. You know what he's doing.
The scene starts like in American Beauty where the bread bag just starts floating down the road.
It's just me in a mental like hospital remembering. It's like there's so movement. The movements were so fluid.
And then there was
And then they're like, "Time to take your pills." And I'm like, "Oh."
Just you standing like a T formation.
And then the nurses are like, "What the hell?"
Hospital gown.
Yeah. Oh man.
Should we get to music news? So there's some,
I just want to bitch about how much they're making, how many movies they're making. They're going to Star Wars this whole thing again.
I think
I don't know.
I think
st-
they're pulling.
Oh,
back
you mean
now.
Star Trek? Yeah. Well, one of the things was maybe they would do a solo, like a movie just about Sulu, a solo Sulu movie.
That'd be sick. Written by Tarantino.
Written by Tarantino.
yeah. Okay.
They have got a very big risk of Star Warsing this up
Yeah. Well,
completely.
it's all about money though, isn't it? So
Yeah.
Get it while it's going is good.
yeah, cash in.
Talk about people cashing in. Disturbed, the band, is releasing a new album.
Wish we
Oh,
could show you the
wonderful.
clip of that. I just saw it. Earlier.
So if
Wow.
they haven't
that
really
bad, is
changed,
it? Oh, it's
yeah. So
So the album cover you're talking about? Or just
No,
the
no.
music?
no,
the new
the band.
clip,
So
the-
they were on a 4-year hiatus, and then they've come back and made the this new album. And the lead singer David Draymond said, If I died after this record came out and this was the end of our legacy, I would be okay with that. I'd be okay if he did it before the album came out, but that's okay. To me, this is our Black Album.
Oh God.
That's a pretty tall order.
It's, yeah.
Like Spinal Tap, Black Album. Is that what they mean?
So obviously,
get blacker.
No,
Yeah.
because that is actually funny.
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. So obviously referencing Metallica's Black Album. So the first single for Metallica of that Black Album was Enter Sandman. Their first one is Are You Ready? And sounds
That sounds like a corn
exact-
song.
Oh, it is. No,
It's about revolution.
That's
Yeah.
an AC/DC
Everybody getting together and yeah.
yeah, and parkour.
Yeah, it has parkour. It has everything.
The film clip for it is probably one of the worst music film clips I've ever seen. So Enter Sandman won an MTV Video Award. This one
pretty cool.
looks like it got filmed by someone who watched the MTV Music Awards and didn't understand the point of what awards were. It is one of the worst film clips I've ever seen. I think
I don't know.
even
I'm
for a
gonna have to look
Disturbed,
Yeah, you'll have to look it up.
even for a Disturbed film clip, which are usually pretty horrendous.
I think I'm a connoisseur of bad video clips, and I don't know if you've seen Chainmail's Kickback video. but
No.
I think
No.
you should look that up one day. Just when
Chainmail's Kickback.
just Chainmail, word Chainmail,
Okay.
Kickback.
Okay.
I don't know.
I'll
what
check
this
it
goes- Or that, or Schizophrenic Breakdown, just like back in Cape Town. Another song by this guy called Chainmail. It's I don't know if you could top it. It's pretty.
Really?
I think the real problem with this film clip is it's so middle of the road. Like
Yeah.
it's the middlest of the middle road.
It's
Slightly terrible animation.
Yeah.
It's got Darth Maul this guy picks up a pipe and starts like reflecting laser beams from
So what
badly
is
animated.
Are they like new metal? Is that what they were?
Yeah,
Kind of, yeah.
They were really cool when they first came out, and then every song is exactly the same as the last song you heard. He has the man has issues, which is it's not great, and it's they haven't really moved on.
Well,
at
they're still
all.
just riding the wave of Sounds of Silence cover.
Well, that's the
and,
thing.
People just think it's amazing. And
Yeah.
it's like, is it?
Oh.
Yeah,
Is it
Simon and
really?
Garfunkel?
Yes.
Really?
Yes.
no, they did a cover
yeah,
of that.
yeah.
Again, I have to ask what?
And it's terrible.
Yeah, it is
I
very.
don't
Yeah.
know what world we're living in.
You've missed out, man.
I think
It's-
I'm in between some sort of like timelines or something.
Yeah.
I think
What?
I want to. Yeah.
I have to look that up.
This band. So this film clip makes a professional band look like they don't know how to play instruments,
Beautiful.
which is always a great thing to do when you've got it. Like, I don't think you could have made a worse. Actually, no, they have made worse film clips. Their film clips are
it's
always
just
pretty
like I
bad.
said. The whole problem with it is it's just so average. It's just average. It's not even bad, good. It's But about
Yeah.
the Sounds of Silence though, it's not a rock cover.
No.
They try to play it
Like the original?
like the
Yes.
original,
But
Exactly.
with bad metal voice.
with bad metal
sorta.
voices.
Yeah.
Yeah, but there's no metal.
There's no screaming. There's no
yeah.
big guitar. It's
Yeah.
just very...
It's like the
they
start of a
cover it.
song. It's
Yeah.
like
I
the
would
start
like
of a
to
metal
see-
song.
Yeah.
The quiet bit
That
before it
scene
gets
where
big.
just never
Just
goes
never
nuts.
goes
The
anywhere,
hammer never
yeah.
drops. Yeah.
Do you
Yeah,
reckon it was
exactly.
like a live concert favorite and they're like, we got to put this on an album?
Probably.
Probably it was. Yeah. They it's a pretty terrible thing. So if this is if it is their Black album, they really should have probably picked the single better and not led with. I don't know what's the worst song on the Black album.
Well, okay. If we're
Probably
moving
nothing,
off,
like-
if we're moving off the video clip, the song itself
You
is
actually
again.
liked the song, didn't you?
No.
I said
He's protecting his
Whoa,
reputation.
whoa. Pump the brakes a little short.
Like's a really strong
No,
word.
I said it's very accessible, and it's going to be on a lot of like video clips for like NASCAR or football or something like that, right? Like it's again so middle of the road, accessible, quasi metal kind of thing. That's what.
So
it is.
you can feel a little bit dangerous about
It's
it.
it's like metal for people that don't like metal kind of thing, and where they want to put it in their cars and drive around fast or whatever
Right.
and feel like they're hardcore when they aren't. Yeah.
Triple M metal.
Yeah, but they actually still play.
They still actually play some
play-
metal.
Yeah, they still play some
Yeah.
good music though. But this, like I said, it's going to be on a lot of ads. It's going to be it's going to be a promotional.
I
tool
don't
and
even.
stuff.
I don't know, man. I don't even think that it's going to get to that.
Look, it might not. It might not, but it's that kind of song. It's it's that. Kind
The other
of
question
song.
I have is now: is that how we're comparing albums now? Is it now? This is the Black album.
I think you shoot
because it
yourself
used to
in the
be this
foot.
was our Sgt. Pepper's,
yeah.
and now this was our Black
But
album.
Black's an interesting one because, it's kind of one that divided fans anyway. You've got those that really love Black, and then those that look at it, it's like, well, no, it's
Yeah.
not.
I think it's
Yeah.
classic album
puppets
now, though.
and stuff is way better, and they kind
Yeah.
of started to. It was like beginning and the end. They started to sell out
Yeah.
with Black, so
Yeah.
it's an interesting one to pull as a this is like a pinnacle of a band.
They did kind of go down, like they did Black album and then Load
yeah
and then Reload
yeah
and then St. Anger.
yeah.
And then
They were
did-
looking very bad for a
and then
while.
they got
Yeah.
an orchestra in, didn't they? Like,
Yeah,
S&M
no, that-
was
that was
awesome.
they-
That was
yeah.
awesome.
Wasn't
Yeah.
that a Smashing the Simpsons joke with the Cypress
Oh,
Hill
yeah,
and the
Cypress
orchestra? Then it came true.
The Simpsons have got a good track
Yeah.
record
Yeah,
for
they do have a
predicting
very good
stuff.
track
Yeah.
record.
Yeah. We mainly play classical. Insane in the membrane. It sounded so right as well. Like,
It did
should have
sound
released
cool.
that.
But yeah, I don't know. I think it's big ups when you're saying
Oh yeah.
this is going to be my... And you're right. Is it saying this is going to divide people? Because Black Album, there was a hell of a lot of fans, and then there was a hell of a lot more fans after it.
Yeah, yeah.
This, I think, would be the last straw, for people to be like, well, I don't really think I'm going to get into it.
It's jumping the shark.
Yeah.
The
This
good
is
old
our
Happy
jumping the
Days,
shark.
reference. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but there's some bands that never die. Like, I saw a poster saying Chocolate Starfish
They've come back.
They're playing In Excess's Kick from start to finish.
Oh, really?
And you're like,
okay.
what?
It's interesting.
Like,
Yeah, that is interesting. That's
I wouldn't say Adam Thompson is very Hutchison-ish.
No.
Because didn't he sing that mountain song? Like,
Yes.
that's the most far from In Excess.
mountain song.
Yeah, that was that what it was called?
No, I can't remember what it was called, but yeah, it was.
to be a mountain.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
I'd rather be a river. I sound like Robert Smith. Oh no!
maybe you should play the Cure albums from beginning to end.
Mum, get out of my room. So good. Yeah, I don't really. I don't think bands disappear as much as they used to, because there's always going to be someone that loves the nostalgia factor. Like,
Yeah.
It's always a reason to come back.
I see posters all the time for like bands, like, and it makes me feel old. Where it's
I do
like,
it at the Burvale.
Oh, Burvale's great to drive past, and
It's a whole bunch of
Rose Tattoo's going to be playing there soon. I saw drive past there the other day, and like I didn't even realize Angry was still getting around.
He's still angry.
Yeah. Oh yeah, he'd be angry, but yeah.
Yeah, he does a lot of the he goes out to the troops in Iraq and stuff.
Yeah. He's always done a lot of charity work and stuff.
Yeah,
for a long time.
That's why his first name's Angry. Like, I think I call myself Angry. It's like Red Simon's like Red. Like, it's pretty bizarre.
It is an odd sort of choice of calling yourself, because he's
Especially
not
naming
really that
yourself.
angry. Like he was like, I love charity. I'm called Angry Anderson, and I like charity
I
work.
like helping kids.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I guess back then, if you were tattooed and kind of like, it was a bit
Well, it would have
built,
come out of Buster Brown and stuff before
yeah.
Rose Tattoo and that.
Yeah. You know, the other news: Marilyn Manson collapsed on stage
Yeah.
Again.
Do you remember that gun fell on him? Like,
Yes. When
He's
he was
not having a
climbing
good.
up.
He's not having a good run.
No.
Yeah.
A gun fell on him.
Yeah, there was a gun on
He
stage.
had like a big prop.
And
sort
he's
of
Yeah.
thing
Oh,
on it,
okay.
yeah.
Okay.
He was
He was
climbing
dance-
this scaffolding thing and
Yeah,
it
he was
fell.
dancing about, and he
Oh,
got crushed by his own set.
oh,
Had to
okay.
cut the tour short. He
He,
collapsed on stage. No one noticed. The band just kept going for ages because they're like, "Oh, he's
They thought he'd done
Marilyn
a
again.
he's done a James Brown. I can't
yeah,
go on.
yeah, exactly.
I watched a documentary about the Doors, and the band was saying like when Morrison would just pass out drunk and stupor, he would just be like, "Argh!" and then collapse, and they just learnt to because they were all from jazz backgrounds, to improvise.
Yeah.
Until he'll just bounce back and be like, "Argh!" and they're like, all right, we'll change key now. And finish the song. So they were just like, every night we didn't know what was going on. Like, is he going to get up?
Well, the keyboardist, what's his name? Ray.
Yeah.
Ray Manson.
Ray
yeah.
Dawes, man.
He actually can sing like.
Oh right.
Yeah, he can actually sing like Jim Morrison.
So he kinda covers
a lot
for
of
him.
yeah,
It's a
a
good
lot
cover.
of a lot of the actual recordings is him. Like the live recordings is actually him singing.
Yeah, right.
So
Okay, yeah.
Morrison's
Doesn't say
like
much to
dancing
Morrison.
around. Yeah, no.
What else
well,
has he
lying
got?
on the ground
The
and
leather
stuff.
pants.
I know, exactly.
All he's bringing
He's
to it.
busy being the Lizard King, man.
That's right. But yeah, so Marilyn Manson, he's collapsed on stage. He had a set piece fall on
Didn't
him.
he say he was
and he got
poisoned?
arrested.
Oh.
No, he had heat poisoning.
Because I saw a video before where he said like, I think I've been poisoned, but the show goes on and people are like, woo! And you're like, what are these fans? They want him to die.
It was something like he was backstage and didn't have his lanyard on or something, and someone arrested him. One of the police thought he was trying to get on stage.
Just some weird goth kid trying to get in. Yeah.
What's
Some
heat
weird goth kid's
poisoning?
dad tried to get in.
Yeah.
What's heat poisoning
Rob
though?
Zombie, and Rob Zombie sent out a tweet going, it's all right, Marilyn's just a bit sick on the bus home tonight. I'm like, he's not a kid coming home from camp. What are you talking about, Uncle Rob Zombie? Like,
No, what's heat poisoning?
more
Is that
human.
I've never heard of heat
that's-
poisoning.
Yeah, the heat.
Is it just heat
poisoning.
stroke?
I would assume so. I don't know.
It's probably the
Heat
drugs.
Yeah, it's like more hardcore. I think heat poisoned. He had to
That's
take
what
a little
happens
bit
when
of
you're
that.
really pale.
The quote from the great poet Brian Warner is he doesn't like the drugs, but those drugs, they're kind of like him.
Yeah.
I saw a clip of it was this is moving off a bit from that, but it's Kendrick Lamar, and he pulled a girl up on stage talking about stages and stuff.
yeah,
Have you ever seen this clip? And he wanted her to sing the song, right? But so they start the song, and within the first probably 4 lines, there's about 8 N-words in there, right? And she's a white girl.
Yeah.
Have you seen this clip?
Yeah, I have.
Yeah.
Oh, like
It's brutal.
That was for sure on purpose.
Oh, it has to be.
Like, and then he yells, stop the song, and he grills her, and then the audience goes nuts, and she's a racist and everything like that. Obviously she probably shouldn't have done it, but
is she alive still?
Then he's giving her back to the pit.
Yeah, throws her back in.
The next day, Rob Zombie's tweeting out going, she's on the way back. You're like, Rob, shut up, dude.
Who made you the bus police?
No, it was painful to watch. Painful. Because you hear her running off all these N-words, right? And like they fire up the music and she starts firing them all off, right? Like he does, right?
Yeah.
Like nothing else. And then it just shuts down and everyone goes mental and he's getting after
So what was
her
she
and stuff.
supposed to do?
Like
N-word.
I don't know.
She would have been hiding to nothing because if she'd not sung, then he would have called her out on it.
Why didn't you sing?
She's been hung out to dry.
So like, what do you do? And obviously he's done this on purpose.
This is what you get for going to a Kendrick Lamar show, right?
I think she just should have went, I'm white. Everyone just would have given her a pass.
Exactly. I don't know anything.
I'm too white.
Sorry.
Other bands getting back together. Apparently, Slash has said that that there's a ton of shit recorded for a new Guns N' Roses album. So it was supposed to be five shows. Now they're putting out a new album.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we all know what happened of Chinese Democracy.
Yeah, but that's because there was no... They didn't even have Buckethead for that, did they?
No.
Or they might have for a few songs. How long did it take them to make that album?
Is he the guy that
I think
wears,
China
like,
became a
KFC?
democracy before they released the album.
But no, he was working on that while Guns Use Your Illusion that was still running the high, wasn't he?
What?
That Chinese Democracy, wasn't that like a 10-year...
I think it was longer than 10 years.
Yeah.
It was
I'm sure he was working on that right after the Illusion. Like,
Well,
I think
after he
had a
fired
breakdown.
everybody.
Oh,
Yes.
did he?
Yeah, so after that, he
Because he
got them all to...
owns
Yeah,
Guns N' Roses.
he got them all to...
the
Yeah,
rights to
Axl
it,
got him
everything.
to sign over.
Well, that's very Kurt Cobain thing to do. So he didn't follow through with you know what I'm talking about.
You know, there are... Have you heard about the recent Nirvana concert?
What?
Yeah.
It's
Dave Grohl?
Yeah, well, everybody obviously except for Kurt. And I've just
So
got
two
rotate.
guys.
It's
got a
just
weed
the
on
drums
it.
and
they
bass.
would have Pat
And the
Smear back as
guitarist,
well.
Pat Smear.
And,
Oh, okay.
Why didn't they
Guitarist Pat Smear.
hologram it like
Oh, they should.
like Tupac.
No,
yeah.
it's just like...
a hologram Kurt Cobain mumbling in auto tune?
They played like a pub gig, like a small pub gig, and filmed it and stuff.
Wow.
And it's just all rotating singers. So you got the dude from Dinosaur Jr., I think guy from the Meat Puppets.
So it's a tribute band then.
Um,
It's not really...
Well, it's the band.
But it was like influence bands as well, like the Meat Puppets were big.
Yeah.
And,
Joan Jett.
Okay.
Yeah.
Joan Jett sang some songs with them. I wonder if they got Paul McCartney, because he seems to be turning up all the time on Dave Grohl's thing.
Yes. Yeah, he does, doesn't he?
Didn't he say he didn't know who Nirvana were?
Who? Paul
Paul
McCartney?
McCartney? Wasn't that, or was that a joke? I had someone, they played a song together, and then Paul's like, "Oh, what band were you in again?" And then
Well, that's
Grohl's-
possible.
But Paul seems pretty scat. I don't know.
Yeah, he's
He's
Paul
a little
Mc-
Hobbit man. Like,
if Paul McCartney, if that is actually the real Paul McCartney,
yeah, that's true.
like it's very possible that he died years ago.
Oh, here we go. So like a whole whole conspiracy theory going.
And the other guys that are in the studio is AC/DC. There's been lots of photos and lots of confusing photos. Like, you've seen Brian, you've seen a bunch of... Phil Rudd's been
Phil Rudd.
seen as well.
Their other drummer was like, I don't know what's going on. I haven't seen him for 6 years.
Fortunately, we haven't seen Axl yet, but, you know...
Yeah, no, they did. He was there.
what? Axl was doing AC/DC.
Well, he toured with them because Brian got fired because he had hearing issues and stuff. So they...
I guess he's got a pretty similar voice. He's obviously got into
All accounts, they said he was pretty damn good.
Yeah, I just struggle with the idea. It's like...
You seen AC? Did you
I've
see
seen them a bunch of
So
times.
you would have seen the last ACD, like proper ACDC concert with all of
Malcolm
the guys.
and and that was awesome. And I mean, I took my wife along to see it. She'd never seen them live, and she was just blown away. But I just don't know that I could reconcile then going to a concert again and seeing Axl Rose up the front. And
Do you think
this and
there's a
that.
cut
It's
off
just
when
like-
a member dies? Do you think they should just...
Well, no, because they've got form, right? It's like Bon Scott died, and he
Yeah,
was
that's true.
huge. And I think it's less about just Brian. It's you've now lost Malcolm.
That's right.
And Malcolm was the driving.
And
he was
Cliff.
the engine room. Like
Yeah.
he was the man. Like Angus
Yeah.
is the showy guy up the front, but all of the good riffage and everything that's Malcolm, and he's just massively underrated as far as that's concerned. That's the biggest loss. And then you take Brian out of it as well. Cliff. It's just so you've got Angus, Stevie Young, Malcolm's nephew, and
Maybe Phil Rudd. is
maybe
coming
Phil
back.
Rudd.
You don't know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
But yeah, it's not really. And Phil, when did Phil Rudd join? Didn't he?
he was Back in Black. Did he drum on that? It was
Not
before
sure.
that. Yeah,
Okay.
he was the longest serving drummer
Oh,
for
alright.
AC/DC. Yeah. He's sort of seen as he is the drummer.
He is the drummer.
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
he left in the he didn't do Chris Slade came in for Razor's Edge and stuff in the 90s.
Yeah.
And then he came back, did a few albums, and then he had his little
His boat
issue
party.
with the police, where he tried to get someone killed in New Zealand.
Yeah, we spoke about that.
We spoke about that on one of the podcasts.
Yeah, that kind of
Matt made a good point. Why didn't he just surely the hitman would have been comparable to the drug bill? Why didn't he just pay his other bill?
yes, yeah. Well, maybe the going rate's not that high.
Yeah,
in New
maybe.
Zealand.
Very possible. Anyway, guys, thank you very much for being on the show. I think we'll wrap it up there.
Yeah, we're pretty much on time with that one.
Thanks, thanks everyone for tuning in, listening to us on the podcast. Once again, please, if you can subscribe on iTunes and give us a rating, and just
Even
write
if
some
it's
comments. No, don't give a. No. You don't understand how iTunes works.
4 stars at least.
No. Yeah, jump on, give us a rating, and subscribe to our YouTube channel or just watch on Facebook. Thanks very much. We'll be back next week with some new guests. And see you next week.
Cheers. See you later, guys.
See ya.